Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll build a coffee shop chain sales dashboard step by step. So here we have an overview page of our coffee shop sales dashboard for our coffee shop chain named Bean & Bliss, which is a coffee shop chain that has branches in the different regions of the USA. You can see here that we have a KPI card at the top with some metrics such as sales, cost of goods sold, profit, net margin percentage, total quantity sold, and average sales amount. You can also see that we have a slicer that allows us to change between the different measures or metrics with the click of a button. So you can see here we're currently showing the net sales. We can also show the quantity sold instead, or the profit, or the margin percentage. And we have a bar chart that shows us the selected measure for the different product categories. We also have a map chart here that shows us the selected measure from the slicer at the top for the different regions. So as you can see here, we have 4 regions. We have the West Coast region, we have the Midwest, the East Coast, and the South region. And in each of these regions, we have states, and in each state, we have multiple stores. And here we have a bar chart that shows us the selected metric by store type and tenure. So you can see here we have 3 types of stores: kiosk, corporate, and franchise. And for the tenure, we have new and old stores, and this is decided by how many days the stores have been open at the time of sale. We also have a line chart here that shows us the trend of the selected metric. The metric that we have here selected at the top, which it shows us the monthly trend in the year that is selected through the slicer here on the left. We also have the ability to drill through the different regions and show the stats for the different stores. So you can see here there is a drill through button here. So this button will allow us to drill through, but you can see the instructions here to drill through to the stores. Select a single region from the map first. So what we need to do is to select a single region, and then you can see here, click to drill through the Midwest region stores because we selected Midwest, and this is dynamic. So if we select East Coast, you can see here, it will tell us to click to drill through the East Coast region stores. So if we click here by holding Control, because we are in the desktop environment, so press and hold Control and click, you're gonna be able to drill through to the store's view here, to the store drill through view. And you can see here that we have a menu here. So if you control and click, or click basically, we will get this menu having the different filters so that we're able to filter for the store stats. We have some interesting time intelligence calculations here. So we're calculating the average sales per day open in the first 90 days for new stores or when the store was new, and also the average sales per day open when the store has become an old store or has had an old tenure, which is after the initial 90 days. And we also have the net sales versus the margin percentage here on the chart at the bottom, and we have a table here that shows us the stats for different stores. And of course, everything is interactive. So if we select a certain store ID, everything is going to be filtered for that particular store. But actually, at the moment, we have everything filtered by the year 2021, and store 18 has not been opened in 2021. So what we need to do is to clear all filters first, and then we can select store 18, for example. And now we're going to be able to see the stats for store 18 because store 18 was actually opened in February 2022. So this is why we weren't seeing any stats. And this is actually a downside to Power BI. When you do a drill through, the filters are in the background. We're going to speak about that. But anyways, we have a clear filters button here that can help us clear all filters and be able to filter for whatever we want actually. And we can filter by year, store ID, manager, store type, region, and store state. And then when we are done with our filters, we can click on this close button here, and this will close our menu. And then we have a back button here that can make us go back to the overview page again, or the overview view. All right, so we've seen an overview about the coffee shop sales dashboard that we're going to build today. So if you'd like to add another project to your portfolio and showcase that on your LinkedIn profile to help you thrive in the competitive field of data analytics, then make sure to follow along with me step by step. So download the project files through the link below, grab your laptop and a cup of coffee, and let's start building this dashboard step by step. And if you'd like to get the complete template for this coffee shop sales dashboard, along with all the previous dashboards that I had created here on the channel, you can get these templates as part of my Power BI Dashboard Mastery course, where you will learn everything that you need to know in order to create dashboards in Power BI. So learn importing and transforming data, data modeling, measures and calculated columns, DAX formulas, and data visualization, building dashboards step by step, and sharing your reports to the Power BI service. So we'll be learning all that on the course, and you'll be getting all my previous templates as well, along with this coffee shop sales dashboard templates, and all the future templates as well will be as part of the bonus content of the course. The course is currently still under construction. However, it's currently at its lowest price, and as more content and more value is added, the course's price will be increased gradually. So the best time to buy the course is right now if you'd like to get the course at the best value and the lowest price. And I'll leave you the link for the course down below in the description. And I would like to inform you as well that there will be a competition announced at the end of the video. So if you'd like to skip right to that competition that will be announced at the end of the video, you can do so using the bookmarks or the timestamps down below in the description. And there will be prizes or rewards for the top contestants, so make sure to check out the competition at the end of the video. But before we start, if you're finding value in the content of my channel, I'd really appreciate if you could hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified with all future videos. And without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, so now let's start creating our coffee shop sales dashboard from scratch, step by step. So I'm going to fire a new blank report here, and let's first start by saving our Power BI file. So I'm gonna press Control and S on my keyboard here, or you can also click on this save button up there. And then let's go to more options. Let's browse this device, and we'll browse to the destination where we want to save the file. And I'm gonna call this file coffee shop sales dashboard step by step. And I'm gonna save it here. And as you can see here, we managed to save our file. Now let's start by importing our data. So I'm gonna start by clicking on get data here, and then our data is in some text or CSV files. So I'm gonna click on that, and I'm gonna browse here to our folder that has our data model here. So we have a products table. We'll start with that here. So we'll start importing our products table, which is a dimension table, and let's click on transform data to do further transformations to our products table. You can see here we have our product key, the product name, the category, the subcategory, and the size, and we have also the cost per unit. So all these have good data types. This one needs to be changed to a fixed decimal number or a currency because this is money. So I'm going to replace the current data type, and let's also import another file here, and let's also import another file. So right click here, text CSV, and we're going to import, let's say now, our stores table. Let's do our source table first, so dimension tables first here. So I'm gonna import our stores table, which has a listing of our stores. So information about our stores, we have the store ID, the store state, the location, the region, the store type, the opening date. You can see here the opening date has been interpreted as a text, which it shouldn't, because it should be a date. So I'm gonna try to change it here to a date, and let's actually add it as a new step so that if there is a problem with the transformation, we just remove that step instead of replacing the current step that includes all the other data type transformations or data type changes. So if we do that, you can see here that this data type change step is causing us an error. So we're going to remove it. And now we haven't affected all the other automatic data type changes that happened. If we had chosen replace current, this would have gone on this step here, which is a step containing all the other data type changes as well. So if we remove it, we're going to have to do data type changes to all the other columns. This is why it's good practice to add a new step instead. Okay, so you can see here, this step has failed and it's caused errors. So let's do something else. You can see here the dates are in the international form. You can see here, so it's day, month, year. So let's actually do right click here and then change type and using locale. And actually I'm going to choose to make it a date using the UK locale, because the UK locale is very famous for day, month, year here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to choose English United Kingdom and click OK. And now, as you can see here, the data type change has been done with no problems. You can see here that we have the dates in the correct form. They've been interpreted correctly, and it's a data type. And the manager name, of course, is still a text, which is what we want. All right. So now let's import our sales table. All right, so now let's import our sales table. So right click, new query, text/CSV, and I'm gonna choose to import my sales table. So double click here to import it, and I'm gonna click on OK here. And as you can see here, we're now seeing our sales table. So we have the sales ID, the transaction date. The transaction date seems to have the same problem as the opening date on the stores table. So I think we can solve it using the change type using locale, the United Kingdom, and the product key, store key here are having the correct data types, quantity sold, and then the unit price needs to be changed to a fixed decimal number. So I'm going to replace the current change and the discount applied. This is the discount amount applied. So this is money, as you can see here. So we're going to use the fixed decimal number as well, and the payment method is a text. That's fine. We're gonna get back to that actually a bit later, but let's now focus on the transaction date. You can see here it's a text. We want to change it to a date data type. So I'm just gonna go ahead here and do the same. So I'm gonna do change type using locale, and I'm going to make this a date. And this will be according to the English UK or United Kingdom, and we're going to click OK. And now, as you can see here, it's been changed successfully. All right, with regards to the payment method, we have credit card, cash, and mobile payment. I think we could change mobile payment to just mobile to make it a bit shorter, and we could also capitalize each word. So I'm actually going to do that because this is going to look better on charts, and this is what I've done actually when I created the dashboard. So I'm gonna right click here and I'm gonna replace values. So I'm gonna replace mobile payment with just mobile. Okay, and I'm gonna click OK here, and this has been changed. And I'm also gonna do another transformation, which is by formatting, and I'm gonna capitalize each word. And as you can see here, each word has been capitalized, so this is actually pretty good. All right, so now we managed to import our sales data successfully. All right, so now let's create our last table in the data model, which is the calendar table. So the calendar table is a table that you use to do time intelligence calculations, and you wouldn't find a data model without a calendar table. So I'm gonna right click here and then go to new query and then blank query. And I'm gonna go here to the view tab and go to the advanced editor. And my data actually spans between 2020 and 2023. I'm just gonna remove this equal sign first. And because my data spans between 2020 and 2023, so I'd want the data to start from the 1st of January 2020 and the duration, this duration.days function is going to tell us how many items will be in the list. So we'll be creating a list that starts on the 1st of January 2020, and how many items will be in the list will be decided by the difference in days between the 31st of December 2023 and the 1st of January 2020. And we're going to add an extra day here because the difference, if we add the difference between the two dates, we'll get all the way to the 30th of December 2023. So we need to add an extra day. So this is why we're adding that. And then the duration here, this duration function will give us the increment between each item in the list and the next item. So the difference between each item in the list and the next item is only 1 day. So this is days. This is 1 day, 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. All right. So this is the formula we'll be using to create a list of dates. So we're gonna click on Done here to create this list of dates. And you can see here the dates start on the 1st of January 2020, and I can sort them in a descending order quickly here just to show you where they end. They end on the 31st of December 2023, but I'm just going to remove this sorting step here. And I'm going to convert this list to a table. So I'm going to select it, click on To Table, and click OK. And now it's been converted to a table with only a single column. This column will be called Date. So, and we're going to change the data type for it to a date. And let's change the name of our query to calendar, because this is going to be our calendar table. And we're going to go to add column here. So we're going to add some more columns to this table. So we're going to add a year column here to show us the year of the date. And let's add another column here. We're going to add the month. This is the month number basically. So it's 1 for January, 2 for February, etc. And let's add more columns as well. So we're also going to add the name of the month. So it's going to tell us January, February, etc. However, most people prefer the name of the month to be in the shorter form. So Jan, Feb, Mar, etc. instead of January, February, March. So let's select the column, go to the Transform tab, and we're going to extract the first 3 characters here, and we're going to click OK. And this will make the month name in the shorter form. Let's go back to the date column here. Let's select it, and we want to add more columns. So add column, and let's add the quarter of the year. And you can see here the quarter has been added, but it's been added as 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, like most people would like to see it. So we're going to select that column, go to the Transform tab, and click on Format, and let's add a prefix, which is a capital Q. And we're going to click OK. So this will make our quarters look like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty good. Let's go back to the date column here. Let's select it, and let's add a column. And let's go to date here, and we're going to add the week of the year. So this will add the week number of the year. However, what day of the week a week starts here, or the starting day of the week, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc., will be decided based on the current locale of the machine that you're creating this Power BI file on. So to avoid that and make it explicit and make it work the same way on any machine, we're just gonna click on this step here, and you can see here there is a gear icon here. So if you click on it, you'll see the formula for the date.week of year here. So this is a function that allows us to extract the week of the year, the week number of the year. And actually in that function, the second input, so there's a second input that we can put here. So if we go here and put a comma, you can see here that there is a second input, which is the first day of the week. So this first day of the week input will allow us to tell Power Query explicitly what day of the week the week should start on. So I'm gonna put day.monday. So I want my week actually to start on Monday. So I'm gonna put day.monday, and I'm gonna click OK. And you'll see here actually that there will be a change because the default settings on my machine are that the week starts on a Sunday. So you'll see here a change when I click OK. Actually, yeah, so this one was 2, this one was changed to 1 because we changed the starting day of the week. All right. And of course, the week of the year should be a whole number, an integer, because it's a number between 1 to 52 or 53. It's an integer number. So this is what it will be. And we're going to click back on the date here, go to add column date, and we're going to add also the name of the day. Let's add the name of the day. So you can see here we have the full name of the day. So like the name of the day in the longer form. So let's make it in the shorter form. So I'm going to click on it, go to transform, extract the first 3 characters and click OK. So you can see here it's now in the shorter form, and that is much better. All right, so there's one more table that we need to create. It's actually a simple table containing 1 column only, which is for our payment methods. So it's just going to have a unique listing of our payment methods so that we can analyze our data by payment methods. We'd have a dimension table for that. So we're going to create it by referencing our sales table. So we're going to right click and reference. So this will actually save us the effort of reloading the data again on the, because if we duplicate the sales table, we would need to reload the data again. So I'm actually going to click on this payment method column in this referencing table. And I'm going to right click here, and I'm going to remove the other columns, and I'm also going to right click and I'm going to remove the duplicates as well. So you can see here now we've created this payment method table. I'm just going to name it payment method. So now we have all our tables created. So let's actually export them to our data model. So I'm going to click close and apply. Now, if we check our data model, you can see here that we have the tables exported to our data model. I'm actually going to delete all the relationships that have been created automatically by Power BI because I want to create them myself actually. So I'm clicking on the relationship and then clicking on delete and confirming by clicking yes to remove the relationship. So you can see here we have all our tables. So we're going to start by connecting here the store key on the sales table by the store ID here on the stores table. As you can see, click on save. So this will be a one-to-many relationship. That's pretty good. Let's connect the product key here with the product key and click on save. So you can see here the columns don't have to have the same name, but they just have to have the same data type. And here on the sales table, we have a transaction dates. We're going to connect that to the date column on the calendar table and click on save. And we have the payment method here. So we're going to connect the payment method column to the payment method on the payment method table and click on save. And now this also has been connected. So you can see here we managed to export all our tables to the data model, and we managed to connect the tables as well using relationships. All right, so now after importing the data, let's input the colors for the color palette of our dashboard. So in order to determine what colors would be suitable for our dashboard, I would usually use either the Adobe color wheel, which I explained on previous videos. You can just Google Adobe color wheel and go there and try to check the colors and check what colors are suitable by inputting your initial color. But in this case, I actually just asked ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT, what colors do you think the logo of a coffee shop chain should have? I believe they should be coffee colors. Suggest me some hex codes. And then ChatGPT answered my question. As you can see here, for coffee shop chain, warm earthy tones reminiscent of coffee would be ideal for the logo. Here are some color suggestions with corresponding hex codes. So ChatGPT suggested me some hex codes, and I simply chose some of these hex codes for the colors of my logo and my overall theme for the dashboard. So I wanted the dashboard to be looking like coffee. It should have the coffee look and feel. And these are the colors that I chose here, as you can see. So this is, we have this dark brown, we have this kind of creamy brown, and we have this light brown as well. And we have some more colors here, and I also usually choose a tint of red and a tint of green and a tint of yellow or amber, just in case I want to apply conditional formatting. I didn't know if I was gonna do conditional formatting on the dashboard, and in this case I didn't do conditional formatting, but it's always a good idea that you would choose some a tint of red and a tint of green and a tint of amber or yellow for your conditional formatting as well, as part of your theme or of your color palette. All right, so now we're just going to start inputting these colors into our Power BI report here, so as to make them the part of the color palette for the dashboard, or part of the theme for the dashboard. So to do that, we're going to go to the View tab here, and we can click on this arrow here and click on Customize Current Theme, and you can just name it, I'm just going to name it Coffee Shop Dashboard or something. You can just name it any name that you would like, and then you can start inputting the colors. So I'm going to start inputting the colors. So usually I use the Microsoft Power Toys application. So I download that from the Windows Store here, and you can just install it. You can just click on install and download it by searching the Microsoft Store. And then after you install it, you usually just use Windows Shift and C on your keyboard. So the Windows button and Shift and C on your keyboard is going to enable you to pick any color from the screen and get the hex code for it, and the RGB and HSL codes. So I just use the hex code in this case. I just copy it, and now I'm just going to paste it here in the hex code field. And as you can see here, this is the first color here for our dashboard. So I'm just going to keep on adding all the colors. And I'm also going to add here the tint of red here for the negative. Although we are not going to do conditional formatting on this dashboard, we've done conditional formatting on my call center dashboard, which I'll leave you the link for it down below in the description, actually, for the whole playlist of my dashboards. So you can check that, but I'll just input them as some sort of a standard practice. You should always have a tint of red and a tint of green and a tint of yellow or amber, actually, as part of your color palette. So you can see here I managed to input my colors, and I managed to also input my sentiment colors, you know, the negative, positive, and neutral, just in case I want to do conditional formatting. And I'm going to click on apply. So now I've applied this color palette here to my dashboard. And so now if I need to change the color of any object or any element here on the dashboard, I'll be able to find these colors easily, because they will be the main colors on the color palette that opens. You'll see that shortly. All right, so now that we've chosen and set the colors for the theme for the dashboard, let's start building the measures that we're going to use to construct this dashboard. So I'm going to first start by creating a measures table. It's a good practice to create a measures table. So under the home tab here, click on enter data. And now we're going to start creating a measures table. I'm going to name it underscore measures. And the reason we put this underscore here is that it allows the table to float on top of all the other tables, because it will have alphabetical precedence. And you'll see that the measures table will be at the top here. So if you just click on load here, you can see here that the measures table will be created, as you can see here, and it will be at the top. So this measures table will have all our measures. You know, when we create measures, We can put them in any table. However, it's a good practice to put all the measures in a single table, or assign them to a single table so that we can easily find them. All right, and now let's create the first measure that we're going to create here, which is going to be the sales before discount. So I'm going to create a new measure here, and I'm going to call it sales before discount. Let's just increase the font size here. So this will be by using the SumX function, and I'm going to use that on the sales table. I'm going to iterate through the sales table, row by row, and I'm going to multiply the unit price by the order quantity, or the quantity sold. All right, so this is what we're going to do here. And as you can see here, we managed to create this measure here. So this is the sales before the discount. If we want to calculate the sales after the discount, what we need to do is to subtract the discount applied. So I'm going to create a new measure here, which is going to be net sales. So net sales will be sales after discount, is going to be equal to, we're also going to do a SumX here on, and we're going to iterate the sales table, and we're going to multiply the unit price by the order quantity, or actually the quantity sold. All right, so this is the order quantity, and then we're going to subtract from that the discount applied. All right, so this is going to be our net sales. So now if you try to drag and drop the sales before discount, you can see here, here's the total sales before discount, and now the net sales here, you can see here the difference is the discounts. And just to prove it, we can calculate the total discounts. So we can create a new measure here, and we can calculate the total discounts, or discount amount, total discount amount. This is going to be by summing the discount applied column on the sales table. So if we do that, it should be around 44 million or so. Yeah, 43.9 million. So this is the difference between these two figures. All right, excellent. So now we've created these basic measures. We could also put all these measures under a folder called sales, for example. Let's just put them all under a folder called sales. So to put the measures under a folder, we're going to go to the model view here. We can click on one of the measures and just expand this properties pane here. And let's just put it under a folder called sales. So now you can see here the total discount amount has been put under the sales folder. I'm going to drag and drop the other measures as well to be put under the sales folder as well. All right, so now we've created a sales folder just to host our sales measures. So we're trying to sort our measures and tidy up our measures table here so that we can find our measures easily. Let's also create our total quantity sold measure. I'm going to create it actually under the sales folder as well. Let's call this measure total quantity sold, and this will be by summing up the quantity sold column here on the sales table. So you can see here, this is the total quantity sold. If I drag it and drop it, you can see here that we sold about 34 million pieces, or 34 million pieces of products, so 34 million coffee and pastries and all that. So this is the total amount of, so this is the total quantity sold. All right, so now let's create this measure here related to cost. So you can see here, this is a screenshot of our dashboard. We're going to create the cost of goods sold measure. So for the cost of goods sold, we need to multiply the order quantity by the cost per unit. And the cost per unit, we're not going to find it on the sales table. We're actually going to find it on the products table. All right, so to do that, we're just going to create a new measure here. So this will be cost of goods sold, and this will be equal to, we're going to use the SumX function here, and we're going to iterate the sales table as well. And for that, we're going to multiply the quantity sold by the cost per unit. But the cost per unit, because it lives in the products table, what we need to do is to use the related function. We're going to use the related function to go grab the cost per unit for each product from the sales from the products table. So this is what we're going to do here, and we're going to close the bracket for the related function, and we're going to close it as well for the SumX function and press enter. And now this will give us the cost of goods sold here. All right. And let's actually put that in a folder. I'm going to call it maybe cost. Let's just put it in a folder called cost here. So I'm going to go here and type in the display folder cost. And now you can see here that it's been put under a folder called cost. So this is a measure related. So this folder will be for the measures related to cost. And actually we have also this total discount amount. Let's put it in a folder as well for this total discount amount. Let's put it in a discount or discounts folder by itself, because we're going to have a folder for measures here related to discounts. So this, as I told you, does not change anything on the functionality of the measures. It's just to tidy things up. All right, so now let's also create measures related to profit and margin. So let's create a measure here, a new measure for the profit, and this measure will be equal to the net sales minus the cost of goods sold. So this will be the profit measure, and we could actually we'll put it under a folder for itself. And now let's create a measure here for the net margin. So the net margin will be by dividing the difference between the sales after discount, or the net sales, minus the cost of goods sold by the net sales. So we're going to create another measure here, which is going to be the net margin percentage, which is going to be by dividing the net sales minus the cost of goods sold by the net sales. All right. This is what we're going to do. We're going to divide the difference between the net sales minus the cost of goods sold by the net sales, and this is going to give us the net margin percentage, which is what we have here on this KPI card at the top. And so we've created the sales amount, cost of goods sold, profit, the net margin percentage. We could also create the average sale amount, but let's first put the profit and the margin, or the net margin percentage, here under a folder. So we're just going to call this folder maybe profit and margin. Profit and margin. You could call it anything. And this will host our net margin percentage, and I can just drag and drop the profit as well to be under that folder. All right, so let's create this measure here, which is the average sale amount. So this measure will be by dividing the net sales by the order quantity, the total order quantity. So I'm going to create another measure here. I'm going to create it actually under the sales. So this will be average sale amount, and this will be equal to, by dividing the net sales by the order quantity, or total quantity sold. So this will be the average sale amount here. So we managed to create that measure. So we've created a decent amount of measures. We're going to create more measures as well as we are building the dashboard. But now we've created a decent amount of measures, and we can start constructing the visuals here that we have according to the screenshot, so that we can replicate this overview view here, or this overview page here. All right, so now let's start constructing this KPI card here at the top. So this will be constructed using the new KPI card. So I'm just gonna put it here on the canvas. So I'm just gonna insert it here on the canvas. And the first measure that we're gonna put here is the sales amount, which is actually the net sales. So I'm just gonna drag and drop that onto the canvas, as you can see here. And as you can see here, we're getting some decimal places. It's a currency data type, but it has decimal places. We don't want any decimal places. Actually, I'm just going to make it with 0 decimal places. So now it's appearing with 0 decimal places, as you can see here. And let's also add the cost of goods sold, but let's change its formatting here to 0 decimal places as well. I'm just going to drag it and drop it. As you can see here, I'm starting to gradually construct my KPI card at the top here. Let's also add the profit. So I'll make it also with 0 decimal places. So as you can see here, we've added the profit, and let's add the net margin percentage, which should be a percentage. So actually we haven't changed the number formatting, so let's change that, and let's make it with 1 decimal place only, and let's just drag it and drop it onto our KPI card here. So as you can see here, the KPI card now has too many KPIs and the font is too large actually that we need to scroll through it. So I'll need to reduce the font size, but as you can see here, the measures that we added are here, as you can see, and we'll keep adding more measures, and then we're gonna adjust everything on the KPI card. So let's also add the total quantity sold. So this will be a whole number, and let's just add also some commas on the values here to be able to read them easier, as you can see here. Okay, and its whole number is 0 decimal places, so this is the correct number formatting. And then the average sale amount as well, this will be a currency, and let's make it with maybe 2 decimal places. Just 2 decimal places are enough for the average sale amounts. As you can see here, we have the average sale amount. All right, so we've created this KPI card, and let's also start modifying it. Let's also start customizing it so that it looks the same as this screenshot here. All right, so now let's start formatting the KPI card that we have here that we're gonna put at the top. So we're gonna start first by creating the background. So here under the size and style, we're gonna go to background, and we're gonna change the background color here. So it's going to be this color here. I'm gonna input, I think it's not actually this color, I think it's actually this color here. So this is gonna be the color of the background for our KPI card, and the layout should be as a grid, and it's going to be 1 by 6 actually. So it's going to be 1 row by 6 columns. So as you can see here, it's starting to form up, and our callout values, the size for these, I think I made them 25 or 30. Let me just double check. And the size of the font will be 25 for the values, as you can see here. So now it's starting to look more like what we have on the screenshot, as you can see here. And we're gonna also change the color for the font to this dark brown color. So now the font has become dark brown, and we're also gonna change the labels. We're gonna make them also this dark brown color here. And actually on the screenshot, the labels are actually black. So you can make them black or you can make them dark brown. It's up to you. I actually tried the dark brown here. I think it's gonna look actually much better. I think I wanted to change them, but I forgot to change the colors of these labels here to dark brown. So dark brown or black, both should be okay. And let's also change the color of this background here. So this white background, let's change the color for that. So for that, we're gonna go to this cards area here, and for the background, we're gonna change the color of that. And for that, we're actually gonna choose this color here. So you can see here, the background in the very back is a lighter version of the color. So you can see here there's a good contrast here, and I think it looks good. And let's also change the borders for the cards here. we're gonna make them this dark brown color. So you can see here's the border. It's dark brown with just 1 pixel width. So you can see here it's starting to form up and it's starting to look the same as the one that we have in the screenshot here. So we're also gonna set the border for the whole card. So not only or like for the main frame of the card. So we're gonna go here under size and style. We're gonna go to the visual border. So we're gonna turn that on and we're gonna make it a dark brown as well. And the width will be 3 pixels. So as you can see here, we managed to create that. And as you can see here, we managed to create an identical KPI card to the one that we have in this screenshot. All right, so as you can see here, we managed to create our KPI card. You can see here that the labels at the top are actually a bit different here. So it's only actually the first label here is called sales amount as opposed to net sales. I think net sales is actually a better name, so we'll keep it at that. But in case you need to change it, you can always select your KPI card here, and under the formatting settings, you'll see here apply settings to, and you choose the series. So we're going to choose net sales, and then we can always type whatever label we would like here under this label area. So we can make it sales amount, for example, or whatever we want it to be. But let's just keep it at net sales for now. All right. So this is going to be our KPI card here at the top. All right. So let's quickly rename this page here to overview. So I'm actually going to name it to overview, and we've renamed this page here because this is going to be our overview page. All right, so now let's create the slicer here on the left. So this is a vertical slicer. It's actually a new slicer here. So we're going to choose the new slicer visual, and we're going to add the year here from the calendar table. We're going to make sure to make the layout of the slicer. It's going to be a grid, but it's going to show 4 rows by 1 column, as you can see. And for the callout values, we're going to make them in the middle. And we're going to make them this dark brown color here, or coffee bean dark brown color. And we're going to make them actually 14. We're going to make them a bit bigger. And for the label for the slicer, or the title, we're actually going to remove the title because it's very obvious that these are years, so there's no need for the title here. And let's now do the background for the slicer. So the background here under size and style, the background is going to be this color here, which is DFD0C4. This is going to be the hex color of the background. And for the buttons themselves, so we're going to go to the buttons section here, the buttons, and we're going to make them filled with another color, which is this color here, the F3, F2, F1. So this is going to be the color of the background for the buttons, as you can see here. So it's starting to shape up, and we're actually going to give it a border with a dark brown color, actually. So I think under size and style, the visual border, we're going to turn it on. It's going to be a dark brown border here with a width of 3 pixels. So now, as you can see here, it's starting to form up and it's starting to look like the one in the picture. We could just reduce its size a bit here because this is too wide. And as you can see here, we managed to create the slicer. If we want to get the exact measurements of the other slicer, so it was 354 height by 83 wide, or width, so 354 by 83. So this is exactly as the one that I have on my dashboard. All right, so this is how we created this vertical slicer for the years. All right, so now we've created the vertical slicer for the years. We could also just do how the slicer looks, but actually it's already programmed for us. So you can see here that if we click on the slicer, it's white and black, and I think this looks good. I think we don't need to do anything about that, but if you need to change that, if you need to change how it looks when you click on it, you can go to the values section. For example, on the callout values here, I think you need to choose the state. So what happens when you hover over it, what happens when you press, And when it's selected, so currently when it's selected, you can see how the font becomes white, and also the fill when it's selected. So when it's selected, the fill, you will see that it becomes black. And I think this is pretty good, so there's no need to change that. But if you need to change it, you can always do that. And I've explained that on my previous dashboards as well. We've done that, we've changed it, but in this case, we don't need to change it because it looks good already. All right, so now we're gonna create this slicer here with different measures, where if we select a measure from the slicer, it gets displayed on these visual. So to do that, we need to create a parameter. So under the modeling tab here, we need to go to new parameter and click on fields. And then we're gonna call this dynamic measure dash overview. So this is gonna be our dynamic measure that we can select from using a slicer. We can change the measure displayed on the visuals using a slicer. So from the measures table, we need to add the measures that we need to display. So the first measure is going to be our net sales. This is going to be the first measure we're going to display, and then it's the total quantity sold. And then we're going to also display the profit, and let's also display the margin percentage here. And click on create. And as you can see here, we managed to create a slicer having these measures, but we're actually going to change the type of the slicer to the new slicer here. And let's make sure that this slicer has a layout of, it's a grid, but it's going to be 1 row by 4 columns. All right, so this is how it is going to be, as you can see here. And let's actually format it quickly with the help of the slicer that we've already created. So we're just going to copy the formatting from it, and we need to change again the number of rows and number of columns. So we're going to click on the slicer here that we created before, click on Format Painter, and then click on our slicer here for the measures. But then we'll need to do again 1 row by 4 columns here. So now, as you can see here, it's starting to form up, and we have our slicer. We might just need to change the names of these measures to shorten them. So to change the names of the measures, what we need to do, so for example, for the total quantity sold, I'm just going to change it to quantity sold as it is here on the screenshot. We need to go to the measure itself. So you can see here, there was a dynamic measure created here, and there is a formula that creates that measure. So we're just going to change the name here in the formula. We're going to make it quantity sold instead of total quantity sold, and that's been changed. And if you need to change any name here for a measure on the slicer, you need to change it through the formula, as you can see. All right, so now we've created that slicer that can make us display different measures. All right, so now we're going to create these visuals here in the middle. So we're going to start with this bar chart here. So to create this bar chart, what we need to do is to create a clustered bar chart. So we're going to insert that here. Let's just reduce its size. And we're going to add the product category here to the y-axis. And we can add this dynamic measure here to the x-axis. And you can see here that now the title is dynamic. When you select net sales, it shows net sales by product category. If you select quantity sold, you can see here it's showing quantity sold by product category, etc. So you can see here that the title is dynamic. I actually made a simpler title here. So you could make the title more simple. So I just named the title here categories. It's just a constant title, because then, I know I'm seeing the categories for the measure that I have selected here, which in this case is the net sales. For example, in the case of the screenshot, it's the net sales, for example. So I know, if I just type categories here, I know that I'm seeing the net sales by categories. So you can either keep this dynamic title, but just be advised that if you change it, if you change the title, if you make any changes on the title here, it's not going to be dynamic anymore. So if you make it categories, it's not going to be dynamic anymore, and there's no Control and Z on that one. So if you do, if you do Control and Z, you can see here. So if you do Control and Z, you can see here that it's become not dynamic anymore, and then you will need to write a measure, a long, complicated measure, to make it dynamic again. So you can either keep it and make it dynamic, Or in my case here, I made it simple because it's obvious that it's showing the categories on this chart for whatever measure is selected here. So I know, that I'm seeing the categories for the net sales here. And also, if you hover over it as well, you can see here it's showing net sales. If you go to quantity sold, you can see here it's gonna this cloud is gonna show you the quantity sold. So I think making the title simple is my flavor, but it's up to you. If you want to keep it dynamic, but it's gonna be a longer title, you can do that as well. So it's up to you. I like to keep it simple because keeping it simple, makes me focus on the data and not on the other elements of the chart, and being able to quickly understand the chart is a good characteristic of a chart, or is a characteristic of a good chart. All right, and I don't think also we need the product category here or the quantity sold, these labels. So in my opinion, we don't need them. So I'm going to remove the title from the y-axis, and I'm also going to remove the title from the x-axis. But you can keep them if you think they are useful. All right, so now I managed to build this chart. I'm going to remove the background from it because then I'm going to create a background, and this should be transparent. But you can see here, this is how we created the chart. We could also add the data labels. So let's add the data labels as well to the chart. All right, so now we've added the data labels, and you can see here the data labels are also dynamic. Whatever we select here, it shows it changes the formatting, right? So if, in case of the net margin, it's going to become a percentage, which it should. So you can see here how it's dynamic, and I think when you select whatever measure you want to see here and then look at that, you understand that whatever measure is selected here is being broken down by categories. There's no need for a longer title. This is how I did it. You can do it in a different way. It's up to you. All right, so this is how we created the bar chart. All right, so now we're gonna create this chart here for the store type and tenure. So this will show whatever measure we have selected here on the slicer at the top by store type and tenure. So what we need to do is to actually calculate the store tenure at the point of the transaction or the point of selling. So we need to check if it's an old store or a new store, and the criteria for that is that the store has been open. If the store has been open for 90 days or less, then it's a new store, or if it's been open for longer than 90 days, then it's an old store. So we consider a store to be an old store if it's past 90 days, if it's been open for more than 90 days. And we consider it to be new if it's been open for 90 days or less. So to do that, we're just going to go actually to our sales table, and we're going to create a store tenure calculated column. You can also do it in Power Query, but I'm just going to do it in DAX quickly here. So I'm going to name this column store tenure. And to calculate the store tenure, we're going to use the dateDiff function. So the dateDiff function can calculate the difference in days between two days, between two dates. So the first date is actually the opening date of the store in that transaction. So you can see here the store ID is number 13. So in order to get the opening date, we need to get it from the store table. So we're going to use the related function. So the related function is like a VLOOKUP. So basically we're going to look up the opening date for the store from the stores table at the point of that sale, right? So on that transaction that happened on March 8th, the opening date was what for that store, for store number 13. And actually the opening date is going to be the 7th of March. So you see, so this store will have been open for 1 day at the point of that sale. So it's going to be, so the result of the dateDiff is going to be a 1 actually. So, and we'll see that. So to do that, so then the second input is going to be the transaction date, the sales transaction date, right? Because we want to calculate the number of days between these two dates. So we give it the starting date and then the ending date. So starting date is the opening date of the store, and the ending date is the transaction date, and then the interval is going to be in days. So if you close the bracket and press enter, you'll see here it's going to give us the number of days that the store has been open. So we can simply nest that inside an if function and say that if the result of the date diff is less than or equal to 90, then it's a new store, and otherwise it's an older store. It's an old store. Okay, so it's a simple if function, as you can see here. So now you can see here the stores will be divided into new and old at the point of sale, because of course this is going to change, so they need to be divided at the point of sale. And then if we go here to report view, and now we can insert, so this will be actually a stacked bar chart. So we're going to insert a stacked bar chart here, and we're going to add the dynamic measure here in the x-axis actually, and let's also add the store type. So under the stores table, we need to add the store type there. We're going to add it in the y-axis. Okay, so now we have the store type. So now we just need to also break that down into new and old stores. So to do that, we're going to take the store tenure column, and we're going to put it in the legend area like this. Okay, so this will break down what we have here into new and old. We'll break down the number into new and old, as you can see here. And we're also going to view the data labels on the chart. And let's also remove the background. Okay, and for the title, you can see here it says net sales by store type and store tenure, which I think the title, so this is a dynamic title, of course, right? We said that the title is going to be dynamic if you don't do any changes, but if you make any changes to it, it's going to become static. And then to make it dynamic again, you would either need to recreate the visual, or you'd need to write a measure to make it dynamic, but it's going to be a bit complicated. So I just keep it simple. I'm just going to say store type and tenure, just like we have in the screenshot, because now we understand that we're showing whatever we have selected here in the measure by store type and tenure. All right. And we could just remove also some labels here. So I'm just going to remove the title on the y-axis here, title label on the y-axis, and I'm going to remove it from the x-axis as well, because they are not needed. And we could also remove for the legend, we're going to remove the title for the legend so that it says only new and old, because now I understand that, this is the store type, kiosk or corporate owned or franchise. And, whatever we have here is the tenure, either new or old. So keep it simple. And, as long as the chart is understood quickly, that's the most important thing. All right. You can do something different, of course, but this is how I prefer to do it. So this is the chart here for the store type and tenure created. All right, so now we're going to create this map chart here. So to create this map chart, we need to insert a map chart. So this is a simple map chart. I'm going to insert here. And if we try to insert the region in the location area of the map chart like this, you will see here that the regions we're seeing actually are not related to the usual regions of the USA. So you can see here, East Coast is all the way down there. I think this is New Zealand. And this is the South region. This seems to be somewhere in the Middle East. I think it's Lebanon. So you can see here, it's not actually giving us the correct regions. There's also, we only see the correct region here for the Midwest, I believe. This is the Midwest region, and this is the West Coast region. So we're only seeing the correct region for these regions, these two regions only. So what we need to do, we need to add the USA to the region name in order to be able to see it correctly on the map. So if you go here to the table view, if you check the stores table, you will see here that the region is just West Coast, Midwest, East Coast, and South. So we're just going to add a comma and then space USA to the region name, and then we'll put that column on the chart so that it understands it. And we'll also need to make sure to define that new column as a location. So this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to go here to transform data so that we can go to Power Query, and I'm going to go to the stores table, and here on the region, I'm going to add a new column, and I'm going to go to the format option here, and I'm going to add a suffix. So I'm going to add something to the end of the region, which is comma space USA, like this. And I'm going to click OK. So you can see here, this is the new column that we've added. I'm going to call it region and country, for example. Okay, so this is going to be the new column that we've added here. And let's just close and apply. Now, instead of adding the region column, I'm going to add the region and country column here to the location area. So now it's still not being identified here in the USA. In North America, we're not seeing the regions, but what we need to do one more step. So if we click here on the region and country column, we need the data category to be defined as a place. So if we do that, you'll start to see your regions here. So you can see here, we're actually starting to see these dots here. So this is the East Coast, I believe, and this is the Midwest. You can see here, Midwest USA. So it's now starting to understand our regions. And now if we add the dynamic measure here in the bubble size area, we'll start to see bubbles according to the magnitude of the measure. So you can see here, the bubble on the West Coast is the smallest because it has the smallest number, and this one is a lot bigger. If we do quantity sold, you can see here, and we can actually control the bubble size, so and the range scaling, so we can make the bubble size maybe 40 or something. So we can make it 40 so that we can see it better. And the range scaling, we have magnitude and data range. Data range will actually make them a lot easier to identify as well, the size, but then, you know, the smallest one will be so small you might not notice it. But if you want to do data range, I'm going to do magnitude, or you can do it on auto, and auto will actually do magnitude in this case. So you can see here we have decent sizes for the bubbles. You can also increase the size if you want to make it 50 maybe. All right. And I think, you know, the bigger the bubbles, the more the difference you realize on the sizes, but don't make them too big, because if you make them too big, they're going to look ugly and they're going to start to overlap. So I think 40 or 50 is a pretty decent size here. All right, so so now we've built this map chart here for the regions. Let's also, on the size and style, let's just remove the background for that one. And we could just, you can see here that the title is currently dynamic, but and it says profit by region and country, quantity sold by region and country, etc. But you know what? I'm just going to make the title so simple. I think it's better that the title will be simple. So, oh, and actually, we don't want to change the title for the slicer, so I needed to make sure to select this one first. Select the map chart, and the title, I'm just going to make it regions like this. It's simple, and we know that we're seeing the numbers for that particular measure because we're selecting it. So no, whatever measure is selected, we're seeing the number for it. So this is how we created this regions chart. We're also going to create this stores drill through button here. So this button will allow us to drill through to the stores and the states and everything, but after selecting the region. So we're going to do that later. But for now, we've created this regions chart here. And I noticed here actually that this slicer is not the same color as this one, because we wanted to make it the same color, and think we did that. So I'm actually going to do the format painter again. I'm going to select this slicer and click on format painter, and I will just format it the same, but then I'm just going to change here again on I think it's on the slicer layout. Yeah, on the layout, I'm going to make it 1 row by 4 columns. All right, so you can see here now it has the same look and feel. So I don't know what changed the background color, this background color here, but this is a quick way to make a clone of this slicer. So I just formatted it the same, but then the formatting will also make it vertical instead of horizontal, but we want to make it horizontal. So I just changed the layout again to make it horizontal. So made it 1 row by 4 columns. So this was just a quick fix here for the slicer at the top. Also, one more quick change here to the map is that we're gonna change the map style actually to be light instead of the road, because the one that I have here on the screenshot is light. I think it looks much better and it contrasts more with the dark brown color for the bubbles. So I'm going to keep it as light instead of road. All right, so now we're going to create this trend chart here. So this is a line chart. And as you can see here on the x-axis, we have the month and the year. So we'll actually need to create a column on the calendar table that shows us the month and the year, because we don't have a column that shows us the month and the year. So for this, we're going to go back to Power Query, and on the calendar table here, we're going to create a new column. So we're going to add a custom column here, and this will be month and year. And for that, we're going to create a column that shows us the month and the year, and we're actually going to use the date column. So we're going to use the date.toText function on the date column to extract the month as a text, and this will extract the month as 3 characters, basically. So January, it will say Jan, February, say Feb, etc. And then we'll concatenate a hyphen onto that, and then we'll concatenate the year in 2 digits. So this will say, for example, Jan dash 10, for example, for January 2010, or Jan dash 24 for January 2024, etc. All right. So this is what we're going to do here. We're going to click OK. And as you can see here, we created the month and the year column here, and this will be a text. And then we need to also create another column to sort our month and year, because when we create this column, it won't be sorted on the charts. So if you create a chart out of that column, it won't be sorted properly, and you'll see that. So we'll need actually another column here, which is, we're going to call it month and year sort. And this column will be also through the date.text function, and we'll be extracting the year from that as a text, and we'll be concatenating onto that as well the month as a number of 2 digits. Okay, so this one should say, for example, 2020 02, for example, for February 2020, or 2022 08, for example, for August 2022, etc. All right, and we'll click OK here. And as you can see here, this is the month and year sort. I'm actually going to make this one an integer. I'm going to make it a whole number. All right, because it's going to take less space, and it's going to be a number, and it's going to be useful in case we also need to do any kind of time intelligence calculations. But in this case, we won't be using it for that. All right, so we've created that, and let's also, because this chart had the option actually to do a hierarchy. I think I created a hierarchy on that chart. So there was also the option to show the trend by quarters. So I'll be creating a column that shows the quarter and the year. So it would say, for example, Q1 2020, for example. So in order to do that, this is going to be a simple merge. So I'll create a column that shows Q1 and then 2020, for example, so the month and the year. So I need to select the quarter first and then the year. Press and hold Control and select the year. And then I'm going to go to Add Column here and click on Merge Columns. And I'm going to merge them with a space as a separator. And this will be quarter and year. So quarter and year. All right, and I'm going to press OK here. And as you can see here, now this column has been created. So it shows Q1 2020, for example. And then after we created this quarter and year column, I'm also going to create a quarter and year sorting column, which is going to be the other way around. So it's going to be saying 2020 Q1, 2020 Q2, etc. So the year and then the quarter. This is for sorting the quarter and year. So I'm going to do it the other way around. So I'm going to select the year first and then the quarter. And I'm going to go to add column and then merge columns. So this will be also separated using a space. And then this is quarter and year sort. And we're going to click OK. So as you can see here, this will help me sort the quarter and the year. All right. And so I've created these columns. Let's close and apply. All right, so now I'm going to insert a line chart here, and then I'm going to add my columns. So first, let's start first by adding the month and year column here on the x-axis. And then let's add our measure, this dynamic measure here on the y-axis. And now as you can see here, we've added it. However, you can see here that the months are not sorted in the proper order of the months. They are being sorted alphabetically and not in the proper order of the months, Jan, Feb, March, etc. So what we need to do is to click on this month and year column and click on sort by column here under the column tools, and then select the month and year sort. So then we're going to sort these columns by the month and the year column, month and year sort column. And actually sometimes it doesn't update right away. So I'm just going to remove the dynamic measure here and then re-add it again to the chart actually, and make sure it's added actually on the y-axis. And as you can see here now, the months are being sorted properly according to their usual sorting order, right? So the months should be sorted in the proper sorting order of the months. And let's actually do the same here for the quarter and year. So if you're trying to remove actually the month and year and add the quarter and year column, you can see here that the quarters are not being sorted as well properly. So this way we will need to also here click on the quarter and year column, and we're going to sort it by the quarter and year sort column. And then if we remove the dynamic measure and we add it again, and actually make sure it's added on the y-axis, you can see here now that it is sorted properly. Now let's actually create a hierarchy as well. So I'm going to create a hierarchy so that I'm able to see the trend for the quarters, and then I can drill into the months. So I'm going to create a hierarchy that involves the quarter and year and the month and year columns there. So I'm going to click here on the quarter and year, and then click on these three dots here, and then click on create hierarchy. And this will create a hierarchy here. And I'm just going to drag and drop as well the month and year onto that hierarchy. And I think I need to do it actually through the model view. So through the model view, I'm going to drag and drop the month and year here onto the quarter and year hierarchy. And I can just rename it, right click and rename. So quarter and let's call it quarter and month hierarchy. Let's call it quarter and month hierarchy. All right, so now I've created the hierarchy, and now I can put the hierarchy on the x-axis. So now I'm gonna be able to drill through the quarters and then see the months. So if I drill up, actually I'll see the quarters. Okay, I can also click on go to the next level in the hierarchy, and this will take me to the months actually instead of the quarter level. Okay, and I can also turn on the drill down and then click on a certain quarter to see the trend of the months of that particular quarter. Okay, and of course I'm seeing 2021 here because I have 2021 selected on this slicer, but if I select 2022, then I'm going to see 2022, etc. So you can see how we created this line chart here with a hierarchy as well, so as to be able to see the trend for the quarters and also for the months. And you can click on this to expand all down one level in the hierarchy. So you see the months, and you also see the quarters as well here at the bottom. So the months, and they are summarized by the quarters as well. So this is how we created this line chart here. And as usual for the title is Dynamics. It says here net sales by quarter and year. But and if you change the measure, it's going to be quantity sold. But then we can always make the title simpler, so we can just say trend, maybe, just like I did it on the screenshot, or you can keep it dynamic, and you can also, you know, make the title in the middle. So I think I made it on the screenshot, I made it in the middle. Maybe I need to make it sometimes in the middle, or sometimes because on the regions I think it looks better here on the left and here as well. But maybe to make everything consistent, I should move the title to the middle. But this is a small detail. You can always do it. So if you click on any of the charts, you can always move the title to be in the middle, the title for the chart. You can see here. So I mean, this is a small detail that can be adjusted. But as you can see here, this is how we created this line chart. All right, so now we're gonna create the store drill through view. So we can get to that view usually by clicking on a region and selecting it. So now we've filtered for that particular region, and then we'd click on this button here, which we're gonna create later, and this will drill through to the stores view. So this will show us here what region we are in and what year. And the year is basically what we have selected here on this slicer. And it shows us the store average daily sales for the particular region we have here, when they were old stores and when they were new stores. So this means in the first 90 days, and then after the first 90 days, it shows us what the average daily sales are. And also we have here a table containing information about the stores in the region. You know, everything, the store ID, manager name, store type, opening date, net sales, you know, all these kinds of information we have here in this table. And we also have a trend of what the net sales and the margin were for the stores in this particular region as well. So we've got plenty of information here, and this is what we're going to create. We're going to create the store drill through view. All right, so let's now start creating the store drill through view. So what we need to do first is to create a new page here, and I'll just call this stores or store drill through. And we need to click on the format tab here, and then under page information, we're going to make the page type a drill through. So basically we need to tell Power BI where we'll be drilling through from to this page. So how are we going to arrive at this page? We're going to arrive at this page by drilling through the region and country. So basically this page is when we drill through a region and we want to drill into that region and see the states and see the stores and everything in that region. So now if we go back to the overview tab here and press and hover over a region, we click on drill through, we're going to be able to drill to the store drill through view. But as you can see here, the page is still empty, but we're going to construct it step by step. And we're also going at the end to create the button that we're going to use to drill through. Instead of hovering over a region like this, we're going to create a button so that it looks better and it's more user friendly basically. All right, and we're going to also create some tooltips to help the user understand what to do as well. All right, so now we're gonna create the store drill through view, and the first element we're gonna create here is this KPI card at the top showing us what region we have selected. So to do that, we're gonna insert a KPI card, and we're gonna need to also create a measure that would show us what region we have selected. So we're gonna create a new measure here, and we're gonna call it region label. This is going to be the label showing our region dash store drill through. All right, so this is going to be the name of our measure here, and it's going to be simply by using the selected value function. So with the selected value function, we're going to check for the region that is selected. So if we have a single region selected, then it's going to show it. But if we have multiple regions, it's going to do what is in the alternate result here, which this is an optional input, and the default value for it is a blank value. So now currently, if we keep it like that and just close the brackets, if we have multiple regions selected, then it's going to show us a blank value. But if we want to show something different, we can put a comma here and say we're going to show multiple regions. So basically, now if we have a single region selected, it's going to show us what the region is, and if we have multiple regions selected, it's going to show us multiple regions. And you can see here's the measure that's been created. I'm actually going to put it under a new folder, and I'm going to call it maybe labels. So I'm going to put that region here under a folder called labels. All right, this region label here, measure. And I'm going to drag and drop that measure here. So you can see here currently it says Midwest because when we drilled through the Midwest region. So currently we have the Midwest region in the filter context, so it's showing Midwest. However, let's just do some modifications to that. And I think we need to just remove the label. Yeah, we don't need the label. And for the callout value here, what we're going to do, we're gonna make sure that it's either the black color or the dark brown color. Okay, it's currently the black color. Let's do on the size and style on the background. Let's do this creamy white color, and I'm not sure if this is the same color actually. Let's just capture this color because I don't remember what the hex color is. So now I'm just gonna apply the same hex color that I have in the screenshot, which is this one. Actually, this is the one. And I could actually make the font color this dark brown, so it's going to look actually better even than the black. So I left it here. I left it as the black, but you could also make it this dark brown. It's going to look good as well. And we could also create a border for it. And I think I might have formatted it the same as something else, maybe the same as this one. But I'm just checking now the formatting. All right, and I'm going to apply also a visual border here with this dark brown color and 3 pixels wide. So this is going to be how the visual looks, or the KPI card looks. You can see here in this screenshot, actually the font is black instead of brown, of dark brown. We could actually make it black as well. So it's up to you. Do you want to make it black or dark brown? I think both actually look pretty good, but this is pretty much it. This is this visual, and I think we need to reduce as well the font size for the visual. Yeah, I made it 25 instead of 45. So actually I have the finalized dashboard open on another screen. I'm just looking so that I'm able to replicate exactly what we have here, what we have on this dashboard. All right, so now let's create the year label at the top here that will show us what year we have selected, or show us multiple years in case we have multiple years selected. So to do that, we're going to need to create a new measure. So we're going to create a new measure here. We're going to call it year label dash store drill through. All right, and for this we're going to also use the selected value function. We're going to use it on the year column in the calendar table, and in case we have multiple years, we're just going to show multiple years. And let's close the brackets and press enter. And if we drag and drop this year label here, you will see here that it's showing us what year we have selected, but actually the data, the formatting of this should be an integer or a whole number. And let's also just copy the formatting here using the format painter, copy it and paste it here. As you can see here, now we have the same formatting, so it's a bit of a shortcut to take to have both KPI card formatted the same way. And we could also adjust their sizes. We could do that later even. This is 115 by 305. The ones that I had actually in the other dashboard and the finished one was where 71 by 261 apparently. 71 by 261 width here. And the same goes here as well, 71 by 261. All right. So now we've created these labels here. All right, so now we're gonna start creating the measures needed here to create this bar chart. So we're gonna create the measures to calculate the average sales per day open in the first 90 days and the average sales per day open after the first 90 days. All right, so let's start first by calculating the number of open days in the first 90 days, and this measure is also going to take into account the current filter context. So this is very, very important, okay, to take into account the current filter context. So we're going to create a new measure here, and I'm going to paste the measure actually from the demo file that I created, or the finished dashboard, and I'm gonna go through it so that I don't waste time writing it. So you can see here, first we're gonna calculate the maximum date in the current filter context, and then we're also gonna calculate what the current store is. So we're gonna determine what the current store is through the selected value function. And then we're also gonna get the store opening date using the lookup value function. So the lookup value function is a function that is like VLOOKUP. So we're gonna look up the store opening date. We're gonna go get the store opening date, and we're gonna do a lookup on the store ID column using the current store ID that we extracted from this variable. All right, and then we're gonna get the opening date plus 90 days. So this is like 90 days in total, 90 working days in total. We're assuming that the store never closes. It doesn't close on holidays. It's a coffee shop. It's open every single day. So for the opening date plus 90 days, basically the opening date itself is a working day. So it's a day that the store worked. And then we're adding 89 days. So that's 90 days in total. And then we're going to calculate the end date. So this calculation is the end date that we're going to calculate the number of days that the store has been open using the dates between function. So we're going to calculate the number of days between the opening date and the end date. So this end date is calculated through a logic. So it checks if the maximum date in the current filter context that we calculated here is greater than the opening date plus 90 days, which is this variable. So if it is greater than than the opening date plus 90 days, if the maximum date in the current filter context is later than that date, then we're gonna take the opening date plus 90 days, which is this variable here. Otherwise, we're gonna use the maximum date in the current filter context. In this case here, if the maximum date is earlier, if the maximum date is earlier, we're going to use it instead. All right, so when we do that, so when we write that measure and we press enter, this is going to create this measure, and we're going to put it as well under a folder here. So we're going to select the measure, and in the model view, I'm just going to type here store calculations so that we put it under a folder called store calculations. All right, and this is the first measure that we created here, which calculates the number of open days in the first 90 days, taking into account the current date filter context as well. So that, for example, if the filter context of the current date is less than 90 days from the store opening date, then it would only take these days. If it's after, for example, 50 days, then it will only do 50 days. It will calculate only 50 days, and so on and so forth. Now we're gonna calculate the store sales in the first 90 days. So to do that, we're gonna create a measure, and for this measure, we're gonna determine what the maximum date is in the current filter context, and we're also determine what the current store is in the current filter context, and we're gonna get what the store open date is. We're gonna look it up from the stores table. We're also gonna get the date after 90 days of work, which is by adding 89 days to the store opening date. All right, so we're gonna add 89 days because the store opening date is also a day that the store has worked. So this will be 90 days in total, 89 days plus the store opening date. And then we're gonna do this logic here, which checks if the maximum date is after the first 90 days or the date after 90 days of work. So if it is, then we're gonna use the date after 90 days of work. Otherwise, we're going to use the maximum date in the current filter context. All right, so this is an end date that we're actually going to use in this logic here for calculating the net sales. So we're going to calculate the net sales and we're going to add the dates between function. We're going to calculate it between the store open date and the end date that we determined through this logic here. All right, so then we're going to press enter, and this will be the store sales in the first 90 days. So let's just put a dash here, actually, store sales dash first 90 days. This is the store sales in the first 90 days. And what we're going to do after that, so we've got the store sales in the first 90 days, and we have the number of open days in the first 90 days. Let's now calculate the ratio between them, which is the average daily sales in the first 90 days. So average daily sales in the first 90 days. And this will also be taking the current filter context into account. So we're going to do that by dividing. We're going to divide the sales in the first 90 days by the number of days open in the first 90 days. So this will give us the average sales per day in the first 90 days. All right, so now we've calculated that. Now, these measures are not going to work if we don't have a store in the current filter context. So it's only going to work on this bar chart, because on this bar chart, we're going to have the store ID here. So this will represent the store in the filter context, right? We're going to have the store ID on the y-axis, so this is going to work. But if we drag and drop any of these measures here, we're going to get a blank value because we don't have a certain store filtered in the current filter context. So we're going to wait actually and not use these measures until we create the bar chart. All right, so now we're going to calculate the average sales per day open after the first 90 days. So to do that, we're going to start by calculating the number of open days after the first 90 days. So I'm just going to copy a measure here from the finished dashboard that I created. I'm just going to paste it so as to save time writing it. So as you can see here, the first variable here, the first thing we're going to calculate here is the maximum date in the current filter context, and then we're going to get what the current store is in the current filter context. And from that, we're going to get the store opening date by looking it up from the stores table using the store ID that we got for the current store. And then for the result, we're going to use the dates between function to get a list of dates or a table of dates between the store opening date plus 90 days and the maximum date. And then we're going to count the rows of the resulting table to get the number of days after the first 90 days. So now we're going to press enter, and this will give us the number of days after the first 90 days. We're then going to get the sales after the first 90 days. So what the sales amount is or was after the first 90 days. So I'm just going to create a new measure here. I'm going to paste it. So we're going to get the maximum date in the current filter context, and then we're going to get what the current store is in the current filter context. And then we're going to get the store opening date by looking it up from the stores table. And then for the result, we're going to get here at the net sales using the dates between function. We're going to apply a filter between the store opening date plus 90 days and the maximum date in the current filter context, and we're going to return the result. All right, so now we got the number of open days after the first 90 days, and we also got the sales after the first 90 days. So to get the number of sales per day, or the average sales per day after the first 90 days, so average sales per day after the first 90 days, or maybe just call it 90 days plus, okay? This will be by dividing. So we're going to divide the sales after the first 90 days by the number of open days after the first 90 days. We're going to close the brackets and press enter. And now, as you can see here, this will give us the average sales per day open after the first 90 days. So let's just call it per day open here after this is 90 days plus. All right. So of course, these measures, or this measure, for example, is not going to work except if we have a certain store in the current filter context. So it's only going to work when we have a store in the filter context here on the chart. So we need to start building the chart, and then we can use these measures. All right, so now let's start building this bar chart here. So we're going to build a clustered bar chart. This is going to be a clustered bar chart, and we're actually going to need to put the store ID here from the stores table. We're going to need to put that on the y-axis. All right, and then we're going to need to put the average sales per day open in the first 90 days. So average daily sales in the first 90 days, we're going to need to put that actually on the x-axis, and we're going to need to put it as well, put the average sales per day open after the first 90 days on the x-axis. However, when we do that, we're going to have a problem here, which is that the store ID, you can see here that the chart doesn't look good, right? There's a problem here, which is that the store ID, because the data type for it is an integer, so if you check it, it's a whole number or an integer, and if we go even to Power Query and check here the stores table, you'll see that the store ID is an integer. So this is actually what's causing the problem. So if you have a certain ID column like this, like the store ID, and you're going to use it, or you're going to need to use it on an axis of a chart or a visual, then in this case, although usually most of the time making it an integer is would not cause an issue, but if you're going to use the store ID or any ID column, then it's better that you convert it to a text. This is what we're going to do. We're actually going to convert that to a text so that our chart would look much better, like the one in the screenshot, and we're going to need to do that as well on the sales table. So the store ID as well, or the store key on the sales table, needs to be converted to a text, because if you have a relationship between two tables on the same column, then the data type for both columns need to be the same. All right, so this is what we're going to do here. We've converted both to a text. So we've converted the store key here on the sales table to a text, and on the stores table, we've also converted the store ID here to a text. So let's just close and apply. And you will see here that when we do that, we should have no problem with the chart. The chart should start forming up properly. So now you can see here how the chart looks now. So it looks just like the screenshot that we have here. So you can see that, you know, this problem was solved by simply converting the data type. So we usually, when we have a store ID or when we have an ID column, so usually when we have an ID column that is an integer, we usually make it an integer data type, because it takes less space, and it's less stressful on the system in general because it takes less space. But if we are going to use it on a chart, on an axis of a chart, then it's better to be converted to a text instead. So, all right, so now you can see here that we have a chart that looks the same here, but we're just going to do some changes here to the chart. We're just going to make some changes. So first, let's go to the legend. I'm going to remove the title for the legend because we don't need it here. And for the title of the chart, the title for the chart itself, it's actually, I think it's here. So we're gonna change here the title to store average daily sales old versus new. This will be our new title here, so that it looks the same as the one in the screenshot, as you can see here. And you can see here we have the store ID here on the y-axis, and here we're actually going to remove also the title on the x-axis as well, because we don't need it. And we could also view the data labels. So we could turn on the data labels, and as you can see here, now we see the data labels for the different stores here. All right, so we've now created this chart here, and of course it's going to be filtered by the different filters that we're going to have in the menu and all that. So we've just created here the bar chart that we have on the screenshot and on the finished dashboard. We could also remove the background for the chart as well, just to prepare it for having a different color background, which is going to be this creamy color here. So we're going to apply the backgrounds at the very end and the placeholders for the different charts. Now let's create the line chart at the bottom here. So this is a simple line chart that has the net sales and the margin. And as you can see here, we have the month and the year column. So what we need to do here is to insert a line chart, as you can see here, and we're gonna put from the calendar table, we're gonna put the month and year, and we could actually also put the quarter and month hierarchy, so that we would have a hierarchy there. So we're gonna put that on the x-axis, and then we're gonna put the sales and the margin, or is it the profit and the margin? Let me just check here. Yeah, it's actually the sales and the margin. We could also put the profit and the margin, so it depends on what you need to show. But let's show the sales and the margin. So the net sales and the margin. So here we're gonna put the sales, the net sales, and we're gonna also put the net margin. And it's actually gonna be on the secondary axis because it has a different scale, right? So the values have a different scale in the net margin. They are percentages, and these are sales in the order of millions. And you can always go to the next level of the hierarchy to show the months. Okay, so you're currently showing the quarters here. You can always drill to show the months as well. All right, so this is that, and as you can see here, we're actually gonna remove any title from the legend because we don't need it. So we're gonna go here to the legend option. We're gonna remove the title, as you can see here, and we could also adjust the title here. So maybe sales and margin trend, or something along those lines. Sales and margin trend. And that's it basically for this chart. We could also remove the background, and I'm gonna remove the background from here. I've removed the background for the line chart. All right, so we'll leave it as that for now, and we might come back and do some changes to it later, but for now we've created the basic line chart at the bottom. Let's also remove the titles here from the y-axis because it's pretty obvious that the figures in millions are the sales and the figures in percentages are the net margin. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go to the x-axis and we're going to remove the title for the x-axis, and also for the months as well. It's pretty obvious that this is the month, so there's no need for the title on the x-axis. So we're going to remove the title for the x-axis. We're going to remove also the title for the y-axis here, and also for the secondary y-axis. So you can see actually for the secondary y-axis, there's no title anymore. So you can see here on the x-axis, there was no need for a title because it's pretty obvious that these are the months. And even if we drill up, these are the quarters. It's pretty obvious here as well. We don't need a title on the y-axis or the secondary y-axis. Now let's create this table visual here. So what we're going to do, we're going to insert a new table visual. All right, and we're gonna start adding the fields to the table visual. So the first field here is gonna be the store ID, which we're gonna add here. And then we're also gonna add the manager name. We're gonna add the store type and the opening date for the store. Here we go. And actually you can see here that when we add the opening date, is adding the whole hierarchy of the dates. So we need to click on the opening date here, and I think it's after clicking on the opening date, you will see this field, and then you would see this date drop-down menu will select opening date instead of date hierarchy here, and now we only get the opening date. And you can see here the format of the date. We could change it if we want to. So I'll just change that one because this is too long. Maybe I'll just choose this one. This is much shorter. This is much better, as you can see here. Or you could choose any other format that you'd like. You could choose this one, for example. You know, any other format, any format you would like. And we'll add also the net sales. So I'll just add the net sales here to this table, and the total quantity sold. And I'll also add the profit. All right, so all these are fields here that will be in our table. And let's also add the net margin percentage. And we could also add the average sales per day open in the first 90 days and after the first 90 days. So the average daily sales here in the first 90 days and the average sales per day open after the first 90 days. All right, so let's keep it at that for now. And let's now format the table. So I'm going to click on the table here, and then if you click on this format button here, this will take you to the table formatting. Let's start with the column headers. So for the column headers, we're going to make the text white, and we're going to make the background color this dark brown color here. So let me check actually the color that I applied. So the color that I applied was this one. This is the one that I applied on the dashboard. And so the first background color was this one, and I think the second one was just a white color, so that there is a lot of contrast here between these colors and the black color, and I think they look good. You could also do, instead of the black, you could do this dark brown color if you want to. This can also be pretty good, but we'll just keep the black here for now for the text color and the alternate text color. All right, and for the totals, I'll be using actually the background color. This will be this one, and the text color will be the white color. So this looks good here. And I think for the values, and I kept the size as 10 here. For the column headers, the size was 10. For the totals as well, the size, I believe it was 10 as well. So I kept it as that. You could increase the size definitely. And that's it. Basically, this is how I created the table, and this is similar to the table that we have here in this screenshot. All right, so now we're going to create this menu system that we have here, or this filters menu. So if we click on it, you'll see here that we get this panel here with some filters or slicers. So we have these slicers here, and we have a close button, and we have a clear all filters button. So this is what we're going to create. So we're going to start first by creating the panel. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard here that I'm building. And to create this panel here, we're just going to create a shape. So let's say it's going to be a rounded rectangle or a rectangular shape here. So the shape that I have on the finished dashboard is actually a rectangle. So this is what we're going to use. It's going to be a rectangle here, let's say, and we're just going to make it this size for now, but then we can always reduce its size later. We can edit its size later. And then we're going to create some slicers that we're going to put here. All right. So the first slicer we're going to create here is a year slicer. So I'm going to insert a slicer, just a regular old-fashioned slicer. So we have this old slicer and we have this new slicer. So we're just going to use the old slicer here. And from the calendar table, we're going to add the year column to that slicer. And we're going to edit the slicer. So on the slicer settings, the style will be a drop-down. So this will be a drop-down slicer like this. All right, and for the colors, let's now edit the colors for the slicer and the style and all that. So first, for the background, this is gonna be this color here. So this will be the background color for the slicer. And for the title, I think, is this the title? No, this is not the title. So it's actually gonna be, I think, the slicer header. Actually, this is the slicer header. We're gonna make it this dark brown color, and for the background we're gonna choose a different color for the background so that it stands out, the background of the values. And for the background of the values, we're gonna choose this color here, D7, C4, B5. So this one, so as you can see here, we have a different color for the background so that the values here stands out. So this part here containing the values, it stands out. It has a bit of a different color. All right, and we'll keep the font color as black, or you could do also this dark brown color. This also would look good. So it's up to you if you want to do black or this really dark brown. I'm gonna do black for now. So this is how mine looks, and I think we should also increase the size, the font size here for the title. So maybe, I think I made it 14. Yep, that was 14. So this will be here the first slicer created, and then we can actually just copy that slicer. All right, or we can always as well create a new slicer. So create a new slicer and add the next field to it. So we can do that. We could create a new slicer and add the next field to it, which is going to be the store ID here. So we'll add the store ID, and then we can actually take the formatting from that slicer and just format it the same way. And I think we might need also to, on the size and style, or maybe on the properties, let me just check here. I think it's on the slicer settings, actually. It's going to be a drop down like this as well. So we could always do that. I think actually copying would be better. So we can just copy, because then all we need to do is to change the field. So we're going to now change the field from the store ID to the store manager, so that we'd have a slicer for the manager. You can see here, manager name. It says manager name. Or we could just maybe make this a bit shorter by making it only manager, just manager like this. All right, and let's also copy this one. I'm copying this one because this one will take the automatic title instead of this one. This one we change the title, so if we copy it, it's still going to be manager, but I want the title to be automatic, so that when I change it from store ID to actually store type, you can see here it takes the automatic title, and you can see here now we get the store type as well. And so now we have the year, store ID, manager, store type. So all these are slicers, and then we can do as well the region. And I think we might need to shrink our slicers a bit, but we'll do that at the end. So we'll remove the store type, we'll add the region as well. So you can see here's the region, and currently our page here, or drill through page, is filtered on the Midwest region. So this is why we're seeing only Midwest, but we'll see how we're gonna create as well a clear all filters button, and to clear the filters anytime. All right, and then we're also gonna add the store state. So let's actually just move our slicers a bit here, and we'll also, arrange them and align them later. So don't worry about that; they're gonna look good. So this is what we're doing here. We're just trying to adjust things. And so now here is the region, and we're gonna copy that as well, and let's add the state, the store state as well. All right, so now we have the states as well. So these are the states of the Midwest region for now. So as you can see here, we managed to create our slicers here, and we're gonna continue building our menu. All right, so now that we've created these slicers, let's start adjusting their sizes. So the slicers that I created on the finished dashboard have a size of 65 by 165. So this is what we're going to do here. We're gonna adjust their sizes here to 65 by 165. And we can also select them all. So I'm pressing and holding shift and selecting all of them like this. And we could go to format, align, and let's distribute them horizontally, so that they all have equal distances. Okay, I don't know. All right, so let's try again, distributing them horizontally. So you need to actually, I think I selected the large, the large container, the brown container, and this is why this happened. Let's align them again, distribute them horizontally. Now, yeah, they are now distributed correctly. Let's also align their top or bottom. So let's just align top, as you can see here. Now they look much better. And this large container here on my finished dashboard was 88 by 1189. So I'm just making it the same size here. All right, and let's also select all these slicers. So press and hold shift and select them like this. Let's adjust them again here. As you can see, make sure that they look good here in this hosting container. And let's also again make them have equal distances. So distribute them horizontally again. All right, so this looks good so far. And I believe actually this store state slicer has moved. So I think I need to rearrange them again here. So here's the store state. And actually the region should be before the store state. So this is what I've done on the finished dashboard. So I'm just doing it exactly as I've done it on the finished dashboard. And let's also, again, let's select them all. Press and hold shift or press and hold control and select them all. Format, align, let's align the top, and let's also distribute them horizontally, as you can see here. So I've now distributed them horizontally. And I think we might need to reduce the distances between them a bit as well. So let's do that, because I think the distances on the finished dashboard are smaller. So this is what we're going to do here. I'm going to reduce the distances between them like this, and I'm going to redistribute them again horizontally. All right, so this looks much better, I believe. Okay, and now we have some space here to add the clear filters button and the close button. So this is what we're going to do next. All right, so now we're gonna insert these two buttons here, the close button and the clear all filters button. So I used Canva to create these buttons. I love using Canva because it's easy to use and there's so many templates and customizations, but there are also free tools that you can use as well for these kinds of buttons or small pictures. You could even use the templates in PowerPoint. So there's so many options, but I like to use Canva because there's so much customization available and so many templates as well that you can use. So I created these two buttons using Canva, and I'm going to insert them, and they are going to be available as part of the project file. So I'm going to go to insert here and then image, and I'm going to insert first the clear all filters button, and I'm going to make it the same size that I have on the dashboard. So the size that I have on the finished dashboard is 53 by 51. So size and style, I'm going to go here, height 53, 51. So this is the same size that I have on the finished dashboard. And as you can see here, I don't even have to write clear all filters on that one. Maybe I'll just use here for the action. I'm actually, so there will be an action here, which is going to be a bookmark, but we can use a tooltip here first. Let's set the tooltip, which is going to be clear all filters. All filters. All right, so this is going to be here our tooltip, clear all filters. So now, if you hover over it, it will say clear all filters, which is going to make it even more obvious that this clears the filters. But even the icon itself, how it looks, it's obvious that it clears the filters. And now let's also insert the close button. So I'm going to go to insert here and then image. And as you can see here, here's the close button, and it has close on it, but even the X without the close text on it makes it obvious that this is a close button. So I'm gonna reduce its size here, and the size for it on the finished dashboard was 61 by 56. So this is what I'm going to make it, 61 by 56, as you can see here. And I'm gonna make sure that all these buttons, the tops are aligned. So as you can see here, this will be aligned with the tops of the slicers and the clear all filters button, as you can see here. So it looks pretty good. All right, so now we've created these buttons here. All right, and we can actually make them as well. So select them all by pressing and holding Control and starting to select all of them, the buttons and the slicers. And let's make sure that first they are aligned at the top and also they are distributed horizontally. So I think this looks pretty good. All right. So actually this one should be 61 by 56. So let's make it again 61 by 56. All right. And let's make sure that everything as well is aligned. And I think this one was supposed to be 53 by 51. All right, so again, let's make sure that we have the correct dimensions and select them all. Pressing and holding Control or Shift will select them all. And then we're gonna align top. We're gonna also distribute them horizontally. All right, so I think this looks pretty good now. All right, so now we've created this slicers panel here that hosts our slicers plus these two buttons here, the clear all filters button and the close button. And now we're gonna start creating a bookmark to show and hide this panel, this filters panel or slicers panel. All right, so now we're going to create the effect to make this menu disappear first. So we're gonna create a bookmark for that. So first, we're actually gonna go to the selection pane, which you can also go to or view. If it's not there, you can go to view and then selection. Make sure that the selection pane is viewable. And let's actually start first by making sure that all these buttons and slicers and the slicer panel itself are all one group. So I'm gonna start selecting all of them one by one, pressing and holding Shift and selecting all of them, and then still pressing and holding Shift, I'm gonna select the whole panel, or this whole dark brown thing that holds everything. All right. So now that I've selected everything, I'm gonna go to Format tab here. I'm gonna go to Group, and I'm gonna make sure to group them all. All right, so all this is now moving together as one unit. All right, because when we need to create the bookmark for hiding these, so we need everything to be hidden at once. All right, so I'm gonna select this group actually, and let's go to the selection pane here. You can see here it's called Group 1, and it has a lot of items under it. So I'm just gonna call it Slicers Panel Group or something. Something to identify it, to make sure I know that this is the Slicers Panel Group. I could also call the individual buttons here. So maybe this is a close button, and this one is going to be clear filters button. As you can see here, it's being selected. So this one is going to be clear filters button. So I'm double clicking to rename clear filters button. And now this one is what? This is a slicer. So this is a state slicer. I mean, we don't have to rename the slicers. We'll just save some time here because the slicers are gonna always stay under that group, so it's gonna be fine. But all these are slicers, and then there's the shape here. This is like the slicers container. This is the container thing, slicers container shape. So this is the container shape. This is the whole brown thing, this one. All right, so now what we need to do here, so after going to the slicers panel group, I'm actually gonna hide this. I'm gonna hide the whole thing, the whole slicers panel group, and this will be the bookmark. So I'm gonna go to bookmarks here. I'm gonna create a new bookmark. So having all these hidden, so if you click on this eye here, this will hide them, as you can see here, and then you can click again to unhide, but I need them to be hidden, and I'm going to create a new bookmark. And a bookmark is like a snapshot of a certain situation. So I want to take a snapshot of this situation, which is that this slicers panel group is hidden, okay, and I'm going to call it menu off or slicers panel off. So I'm going to call it menu off. So this is when the menu is off, and I'm going to click on these three dots, and because I don't care about applying filters and drill and sort states, so the current filter and drill and sort state. So currently, for example, we have the Midwest filter. I don't want the situation to include that we're going to apply the Midwest filter because I don't care about the filter. I just want to hide these slicers or the slicer panel. So I'm going to untick data here, and I'm gonna click on update as well. So click here and then update. So this will be the situation when the menu is off or hidden. All right. So now if I unhide or show this visual, show the whole slicers panel group, and then I click on this bookmark, which is menu off here, I click on it, you can see here everything is closed. All right. So now I've applied this trick here of hiding this whole menu or this whole slicers panel. Let's even call it slicers panel off. Slicers panel off instead of menu off. That's fine. Slicers panel off. So this will make my slicers panel disappear. Now I can actually assign this bookmark, which is slicer panel off. I can assign it to the close button. So I can click here on the close button, and let's actually view this first, and I can go here to the close button. I can click on format. All right, and I can assign this action to the close button, which is the bookmark of slicers panel off, right? Because this is what we want the close button to do. We want it to close. So close slicers panel or close menu, whatever you want to name it. So this is a menu, right? So close menu. So now if we click on this close button, you can see here that now the slicers panel is hidden, or this menu is hidden now. All right. And we're going to create another button actually to view it. So stay tuned for that. All right. So now we're going to create this burger menu button here that is going to allow us to turn on the menu or turn on the slicers panel. So view the slice. So it's going to allow us to view the slicers panel. All right, so to do that, I've created a picture using Canva. So this consists of a picture. If you check here the selection, this menu button group, is simply a menu button and a background shape. So it's a picture. So this picture here having this burger menu symbol and the word menu, this is a picture, and then there's a background shape with this dark brown color. So this is what it is basically. And of course the picture is on top of the background shape. All right, so I created this picture using Canva as well. I will leave you that picture as well as part of the project files. All right, so what we're going to do is that we're going to start by inserting the picture. So I'm going to insert an image here. And this image will be the burger menu sign. And by the way, this burger menu sign you can create if you just Google burger menu symbol or burger menu sign here, burger menu symbol, you'll find this burger menu symbol, these 3 lines. So this is like a character, okay, that you can Google, and you can basically type it anywhere that you would like. There's also this flat icon website. So this is one of the websites where you can find icons as well. So you're able to find this burger menu icon here as well. But I use Canva because Canva allows me to color things easier. Here, if you need to color, I think you might need to pay. So if you need to edit it, actually the feature is available for registered users. So there are some limitations on free websites, but this is why I use Canva, because there's so much flexibility in Canva. But this flat icon website is also another website where you can find these icons as well. All right, so I've inserted here this menu button here. So here's the button. It's basically a picture, okay, that I created using Canva, and I'm also gonna insert a shape. So I'm gonna insert a rounded rectangle shape. You can also make it a non-rounded rectangle or a flat rectangle. All right. Or a sharp-edged rectangle, I mean. And then we're gonna actually we're gonna send that backwards, or send that to the back, so that the burger menu icon is at the top, as you can see here. All right, and to get the exact dimensions that I used, so you can basically, play with the dimensions that you have. So I think it's 71 by 67, I think, for the shape. So 71 by 67, I think. Where is it, the picture? I think this looks good. All right, so here it is. You can actually select both of them. So if you go here to selection, you'll see this image. So this is menu button image. I'll call it menu button image. All right, and then we have also the shape itself. So this is the shape, menu button. I'll call it menu button background shape. All right, and so we can press and hold Control and select both of them, and we can go to Format. We can align, and we can align middle and align center, so that they are aligned and centered. And then I'll just select both of these. Again, press and hold Control to select, and I'll group them as one thing. All right, so now they become one thing. So this will be menu button group. So now they have currently become one unit. As you can see here, you can make them a bit larger if you want to, but this will be good for now. So as you can see here, we've created that button. Next, we're going to create the bookmark that shows the menu, and we're gonna wire it or attach it to that button. All right, now we're going to create the bookmark that would make the slicers panel or the menu on. So we created a bookmark previously that turns the slicers panel off, and we attached that to the X button. Now we're gonna create another bookmark that will turn the slicers panel on, or the menu on, and then we're gonna attach it to this menu button here. So I'm gonna go. So we're actually gonna go to the selection here, and here is the slicers panel group. We're going to turn it on. So we're going to turn the whole slicers panel group on. All right. And then the menu button itself, because what we would want to do is that when we turn the slicers panel on, we'd want to turn the menu button off. We want to hide the menu button, because if the slicers panel is on, then the menu button should disappear, right? So we're going to turn off the menu button group, the whole menu button thing. All right. And this will be the situation that we want to take a snapshot of. Okay. So we're going to add a new bookmark now for this snapshot. All right, and this will be slicers panel on or menu on, whatever you want to name it. So slicers panel on. All right, and then we're going to click on these three dots here, and we want to not apply any filters from the current state, right? Because we don't want to take a snapshot of the filters in the current state. We don't care about the filters in the current state. All we care about is, the display. We care about the display, and we care about being in the current page, and we care about all the visuals as well being present. So we don't care about the sorting and filtering and drilling state when we turn the menu on, because we'll be already in that state. So we don't want to preserve the current state of filters. So for example, if we're in the Midwest region, we don't necessarily want it to be in the Midwest. We want it to be in whatever region it is at that point. Okay, so we're actually gonna turn the data off. Okay, and let's just click on update here to update everything. And now the slicers panel is on. So if we click on this one, the slicers panel is off. This one, and we click on this one, the slicers panel is now on. And as you can see here, when we turn the slicers panel off, actually the menu button as well disappears. So what we need to do is to go back to our selection here and turn the menu button group on again, because we would want, when the slicers panel is off, we would want the menu button to appear. So we're turning on the menu button group, and then we're just going to update the slicers panel off bookmark. The state of the slicers panel being off, we're going to update it with the menu button being on, actually. So we turned it on, and then we're going to do an update. So now the slicers panel is off, the menu button is on. If we click here, the slicers panel is on, and the menu button is off. It disappears. Again, the slicers panel is off, the menu button is on, and then here the slicers panel is on, the menu button is off, as you can see here. All right. Let's go back actually to the state where the slicers panel is off, and as you can see here, now the menu button is on. Now we can assign this bookmark where the slicers panel is on. We can assign that to the menu button. So I'm going to click on the menu button here. I think I need to actually go to the selection, and I think I need to assign that to the image, I think. Yeah, so I need to select the image. You need to be selecting the image, which is the image, right? Because this menu button group consists of an image and a background shape. And I think that if you select the background shape as well, you should be able to assign an action. Okay, so you can either assign it to the, I'll actually assign it to the image. So I'm going to select the menu button image, okay? And I'm going to go to action here. I'm going to turn it on. And then I'm going to make it a bookmark, make the action type a bookmark. And this will be slicers panel on, because I want to, when I click on that, I need the slicers panel to be on. And now if I click on this button, or if I control click here, because we're in the development mode, control click, you can see here the menu is turned on. And then control click here on the close button, the menu is turned off, and the button appears. All right, so this is how you can create this menu button here, and you can create the bookmark and wire everything and make everything, as you can see here, dynamic. You have a button to show the menu, and then another button, close button, to turn off the menu. As you can see here, menu button shows the menu, button closes the menu. All right, so now let's create the clear filters bookmark and attach it to the button. So I'm going to press here on the menu button here to open the menu. And as you can see here at the moment, actually the filters that were applied from the drill through are not being applied here or are not reflecting here on the slicers. And this is actually a problem with Power BI. So you can see here that we're currently filtered on the West Coast and 2021. And if we actually check this filters pane, you'll see that we have a filter for the West Coast and a filter for 2021. So you'll see here that when we open the menu, these filters are not being reflected on the slicer, we're not seeing them. If we click here on the year, we'll see only 2021. So this is what indicates that we have the year 2021 filtered, and also for the region, we have the West Coast. But in my opinion, it should be saying here, instead of all, it should be saying here 2021, and here it should be saying West Coast, right? So it shouldn't be saying all here, and it shouldn't be saying all here. It should be here saying 2021, and it should be saying here West Coast. But this is a problem with Power BI, and this is how it is at the moment. So what we need to do first is to actually remove all filters. So we need to create a snapshot where all the filters are removed. So I'm actually going to remove them here from the filters pane. I'm going to go here to the region. I'm just going to remove the filter on the region, clear filter, and also the filter on the year, clear filter. And actually we don't have any filters at the moment applied. So you can see here the year, all the years, stores, all the stores, managers, all the managers, store types, everything, region, everything, store state, everything. All right, so this is actually the state that we need the filters to be everything. We don't need any filters applied, and we're going to capture this state. So we're going to go to the bookmarks here, and we're going to add another bookmark here, and it's going to be clear all filters, and this will be with the slicers panel on or the menu on. So this should also preserve that the menu on, right? The menu is on, because when you click on this clear all filters button, we need the menu to stay on. All right, so now we're actually gonna update this. We're going to update this bookmark, or it's actually been created. Let's just update it to make sure that it's working. So now we have this clear all filters bookmark. Now if we close the menu, all right, and now if we open it, if we go back to the overview page, for example, and let's just drill through again, maybe here on the Midwest store drill through. So let's drill through. You can see here now we have a filter of the Midwest in 2021. Now we open the menu, or the user opens the menu. You can see here the filters are not reflecting here, but that's fine. We said that this is a problem with Power BI. So now we're going to click on this clear all filters button here. Let's actually select it, because when we click on it, we're selecting the whole thing. Everything is grouped together. So we're going to go here to the selection pane. I'm going to go to the slicers menu or slicers panel group here, and I'm going to click on the clear all filters button here, and then I'm going to click on the format tab here. So now we're formatting the clear all filters button, and I'm going to make the action here. It's going to be a bookmark, and the bookmark will be to clear all filters menu on this one. All right, so now we have some filters applied. We have some filters applied already. We have Midwest in 2021. Now if we click on this clear all filters button, this will actually clear all the filters. If we click on close, now we have multiple regions and multiple years. We have all the filters cleared at the moment. So now we don't have any filters applied. We're seeing all the stores, and we're seeing the stats for all the stores, and also the store average daily sales for each and every store. So you can see here, now we've created this clear all filters button. And now we can click on close, and we go back to our page. All right, so this is how we created the clear all filters button, and let's continue creating our dashboard. All right, so now we're gonna create this back button that we have here. So this is simply created by inserting a button, and I just inserted this left arrow button here, as you can see here, and here's my button. And I'm actually going to move all these objects here to the right, a bit to the right like this. Okay, and here is my back button, and I'm going to click on it, and let's reduce its size a bit. Let's click on it, go to format here, and then under button style, I'm going to go to icon, and I'm going to change its color here to this dark brown color so that it has the same color as the one I created. And the one I created, actually, let's just copy the dimensions. So the one I created was 55 by 57. So I'm just going to make it 55 by 57 like this. And here's the button that I created. Here's 100% scale. So now it's the same size as the button that I created. And as you can see here. All right, so this is how I created this back button. And now I'm going to click on the button and I'm going to assign it. The action will be back. All right, so now this will take us back to the main page. All right, and we're going to continue creating our dashboard. We're going to create the backgrounds and everything. We're also going to add this logo here. So we're going to add it a bit later in the video. And we're going to actually delete this button because we don't need it anymore. Because I created this button because I wanted to put it here because I'm going to put the logo here in this area. All right, now let's start adding the finishing touches to our dashboard by creating the background. So as you can see here, here's the slide or the PowerPoint file that contains my colors. All right, so I'm going to open a new PowerPoint file and I'm going to copy this slide here that contains my color and I'm going to paste it to the new PowerPoint file. And let's actually make this an empty slide. So I'm just going to delete these elements here, these text boxes, and I'm going to move here this slide to the end. And now let's start creating our backgrounds. So first, I'm going to format the background for the slide here. I'm going to make it a gradient fill, right? And the colors of my gradient, I'm going to use this color here, this dark brown color that we have. And I'm going to change that here. So after copying my hex code, I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to click OK. So this is going to be part of my background. And let's use another color. I'm actually going to use this light brown color here as the color in the middle, or maybe even a lighter color, we'll see. So I'm going to use this color here to be in the middle, and I think I'm going to lighten it a bit actually, because I like the color in the middle to be light, quite light, like this, and click OK. And I'm going to make this, instead of a 90-degree angle, I'm going to make it a 70-degree angle. So you can see here now there's a bit of a spotlight actually that shines on this one. And I'm going to remove actually the last part of the gradient here because I don't need it. I'm going to make this as well a dark brown color. So now as you can see here, we get this effect here where the edges are dark and then there is a light that is being shined. It's a bit of a spotlight here in the middle, which looks actually pretty good. So this is what we're going to do. I mean, this is not exactly what I created. There could be a variation on the color in the middle here, and you can see here, you can vary it a bit. I think this looks pretty good for a background. If I need to create the exact replica of this one, I can go here, right click, form a background, and I can actually copy what I have here. So maybe I used a bit of a darker color. Actually, I think I used this one, DC4B5. I think it's one of my standard colors actually. Yeah, I actually used this one. So maybe this time I found myself wanting to use a lighter color, but you could use this one as well, as you can see here. But I think actually the lighter color looks quite good actually. So I'm just gonna go with this one. And it's all in the spectrum of colors of coffee, so it looks pretty good actually. So I've created my background here. Now let's continue creating our background. So I'm going to insert actually a shape. So let's insert a shape. It's going to be a rounded corner rectangle here. So let's insert that shape here. And let's actually reduce the rounding a bit. So as you can see here, and let's make sure it's in the middle like this. Okay, and let's go to shape format here. Let's remove the outline, so no outline. And let's also give this shape a shadow effect like this. And let's change its color. So here, let's start actually from this color. Let's actually go more colors. Let's actually start from this color, and then maybe even make it a bit lighter like this. So as you can see here, now we've created quite a light background. If I get the exact color for the shape that I created on the first dashboard, this is actually the exact color. I think it was maybe a bit darker. Let's see. So if we click OK, yeah, it was a bit darker. So this is the exact color that I used on the finished dashboard. We could actually increase it a bit. Okay, so we need to leave some space here on the edges. So and I made it in the middle. So it's pretty good. Okay, and I'm actually gonna increase its height here a bit. Okay, and let's also make sure it's in the middle. I think this looks good now. Maybe as well increase its height to give myself a bit more space here. Okay, I think this looks good now. Let's just make it in the middle. All right, so now I've created this shape here where I'm going to have all my charts and visuals placeholders inside it actually. All right, now I'm gonna take a screenshot of my dashboard. So I'm gonna press on Windows, Shift and S on my keyboard, and I'm gonna take a screenshot of my dashboard like this. Okay, and I'm gonna go to PowerPoint here and I'm gonna paste this screenshot. All right, and I'm actually gonna make it transparent. So I'm gonna select the picture here, go to transparency, and I'm gonna make it quite transparent so that I can barely see it. Okay, and I'm gonna start adding shapes on top of this screenshot. So actually for the layers that we have, let's actually go to the selection pane here under the picture format. We have this rounded rectangle shape in the middle, the large rounded rectangle shape in the middle, and then we have the picture. The picture is on top of the rounded rectangle shape. So I'm going to select the rounded rectangle shape. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to make some small shapes out of it. I'm just going to paste it and reduce its size like this. And now I have a small shape on top of the picture, on top of the transparent picture, so that I can barely see my charts and my visuals, and I'm able to create placeholders for them. So this is a good technique that allows me to see where exactly to put my placeholders like this. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to do here, and leave a bit of space on the edges. I'm gonna create a placeholder as well for my slicer here, as you can see, and I'm gonna create a placeholder as well for this slicer for the different measures, and another placeholder here at the top for my card visual. Okay, so now as you can see here, I have placeholders for the different elements. I'm also, let's just make sure that everything is the correct size, and this is a bit of an iterative process, so you could go back here and make some adjustments. You don't always get it right from the first time. Let's also copy this one and create a placeholder for the logo there, because I'm going to put the logo up there. Okay, and as I told you, this is a bit of an iterative process, so you could actually go back and adjust this one again if you need to. It's no problem. You don't always get it right from the first try. All right, so now I've created these placeholders using the picture in the background by making it transparent. I'm actually gonna select now my picture. So here's the picture actually selected. So this is a snapshot of the dashboard. Here's the picture that I inserted and made transparent. I'm actually going to delete it. So I can click on delete on my keyboard and it will be deleted. And now I'm only left with this background. Okay, there's no picture. So the picture was just to help me create the background. And now I'm going to save this. So Control Shift and S on our keyboard. And I'm going to navigate to the folder. So I've navigated to the folder, and this will be coffee shop sales background overview. So this is the overview tab. All right, and the type of the file will be a JPEG or a PNG. Let's just select the JPEG and let's click on save, and let's also click on just this one because I want to save only this slide here. I don't want to save this one. And I'm actually going to save this whole file as well. So I'm going to press Control Shift and S again to save the whole file, because the whole file is not saved. It's still a new file. I'm going to save it in the same folder, and this will be backgrounds, our coffee shop sales backgrounds. All right. So as you can see here, we managed to save this one. So let's now insert the background to the dashboard. So I'm going to select here my canvas. I'm going to go to format. I'm going to go to canvas background. I'm going to go to browse, and I'm going to browse for this background here. I'm going to click on open, and I'm going to make the transparency 0%. And now, as you can see here, the background is appearing. I just need to adjust these charts and visuals here and fit them into the placeholders. As you can see here, I'm just fitting them into the placeholders, and we should be fine. This is the reasons, as you can see here. Okay, and let's also fit this one, and this one actually needs the background to be removed. So this is what we're going to do here, size and style. Let's just remove the background. And as you can see here, things are starting to form up, and you know, my dashboard is starting to mature here. And I'm just adjusting here to the placeholders, and let's also add, and let's adjust this one as well. All right, and let's also add our logo here on this placeholder. So I'm going to insert, and I'm going to insert an image, and here is my logo here. I'm just going to navigate to it, and the logo of course will be included with the project files as well. I'm just going to open it, and as you can see here, here's my logo. I'm going to place it in this placeholder. I could always change the size of the placeholder because the placeholder here seems a bit too large. So I might just reduce it vertically like this so I can go back. As I told you, you don't always get it right from the first time. You can just go back here and reduce it a bit. That's fine. And we can always save it again. Control Shift S on our keyboard to save again. And we're going to go here to JPEG files, and I'm just going to save this one again. And I'm going to save just this one. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to select my background here again. And now, as you can see here, actually, this is a bit of a better size. As I told you, you don't always get the background thing right from the first time, and as you can see here as well, this might need some adjustments. I think it's looking good. We can just adjust it to this placeholder. I think now it's looking pretty good. My dashboard is looking pretty good here with all the backgrounds and the placeholders. So as you can see here, we've created the background for this tab here. I think we might just need to reduce this a bit. And you can always make adjustments later, but I think it's looking pretty good now. Our dashboard is almost ready, and I think we need to create a button here as well for the stores. So actually we forgot to create that one. We need to create a button here or placeholder and insert the button here for the stores drill through. So this is what we're going to do as well. So let's go back actually to our backgrounds. And I'm gonna copy one of these shapes here, just any of them, and I'm gonna put a shape here. And I'm gonna change actually its a type. I'm gonna edit that shape. Let's actually make it maybe this one. So top corner is rounded. I think this looks good. All right, so now we're gonna have a button here, and so we've created this placeholder here. Let's save it again. Control-Shift-S on our keyboard. As I told you, it's a bit of an iterative process, so it's no problem that if you're making changes, if you're adjusting things, this is not an issue. All right, so we've created this one again. Let's actually reinsert it again. All right, here is the coffee shop. Sales dashboard background. All right, and let's now insert the store drill through icon. So I'm gonna go insert here and then image, and I'm gonna find my store drill through icon here. I'm gonna open it and I'm gonna insert it here. All right, and I'm gonna try to fit it to the shape, and I think the shape is a bit small for the store drill through icon, so I think this now is of a good font size here. So I can see here there's a drill through icon and there's a stores word here. But I just need to increase the size of this. So I'm gonna go back again here, and I'm gonna increase the size of this shape here a bit. Control-Shift-S on my keyboard. And now I'm gonna go back, JPEG, and I'm gonna save it again, just this one, and then now I'm gonna reinsert again. So a canvas background will be this one. All right, and as you can see here, now we managed to have a decent size, and we have this stores drill through button. All right, so now that we've inserted this stores drill through icon or picture here, we can make it a drill through button. However, when we try to check the actions available, we don't find the drill through option for some reason. However, if we try inserting a shape can be made a drill through button. And of course, if we insert a button like a blank button, this can also be made as a drill through button. So you'll see here the drill through option is available, but this icon or this picture cannot be made a drill through button for some reason. So what we can do is that we can place this button here on top of the picture like this and make it a drill through. Destination will be the store drill through. And on the button style, actually, let's turn off the icon, turn off the border, and you can see here that it's masking what's behind it. So this is also a glitch here in Power BI. So we need to turn on the fill and turn it off again, and it will just become transparent. So as you can see here, now we have a drill through button here, and it says here to drill through, to store drill through, select a single data point from region or region and country. So this is the tooltip here. This is the automatic tooltip. So what we can do is that we can edit that. So we can edit the disabled text. So the disabled text is when it's not working, or you're still not you still don't have a drill through region selected. So we can make that to drill through to stores, select a single region and then click here. All right. So first we need to select a single region and then we click. And as you can see here, now we managed to click. So you can see here, to drill through to stores, select a single region and then click here. We select a single region here. So we filtered for a single region and then here, control plus click to drill through to store drill through, or we can also edit this enable text. So click to drill through to stores. So now here it says click to drill through stores because we already have a drill through region selected. But if we don't have any regions, it will say to drill through to stores, select a single region, then click here. And if you select a store and then click, now you're able to drill through to the drill through page here, as you can see. Another thing that you can do, and I've done actually, is that you can embed this image here in the background. So not have it here on the dashboard, you can embed it in the background so that this can actually allow you to align it inside the shape better, because then you're going to be able to use the alignment options in PowerPoint. So if I delete this here and I keep the button, here's the button, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it even in place because I'm going to go back to my presentation here and I'm going to insert a picture on this device, and I'm going to insert this drill through icon here. I'm going to insert it and I'm going to embed it. Actually, I'm going to make it part of my background like this, and then I'm going to save, Control-Shift-S to save this background. And this will be a JPEG file. I'm going to save it here and just this one, and I'm gonna go here to canvas background, and this will be inserted as a background, as you can see here, and now it's embedded in the background, as you can see here. And then there's the button on top of it, and the button is gonna enable me to go to the drill through page after selecting a region. So as you can see here, after selecting a region, I'm able to go to the drill through page, and we're going to make some adjustments here on the drill through page as well on the bookmarks, because you can see here that this arrow is appearing when the menu is appearing. So we need to make some changes here to the bookmarks as well to accommodate the new elements that you've added, and maybe just remove this these two KPI cards as well, or maybe we can displace them a bit downwards so that they are hidden by this menu, this slicers panel, or this menu. All right, so now we're gonna drill through here to the stores drill through view, and we're gonna create the background for that as well. All right, and we're gonna adjust the bookmarks here for the menu and finalize our dashboard basically. So I'm gonna go back here to this background, and I'm actually gonna duplicate it. I'm just gonna duplicate the slide. So this will be the background for my drill through page. I'm gonna remove these shapes here for now. I'm gonna remove this picture, these shapes. I'm just gonna keep this one here for the logo. All right, and I'm gonna go back to my dashboard, and let's make sure that this is 100% here, and let's Windows Shift S on our keyboards here to copy or take a screenshot of the dashboard here, and let's go back to PowerPoint and let's paste this. All right, and let's make this transparent. Let's make this barely visible like this. All right, and this will be our dashboard here, and let's go here. So here is our rectangle rounded corner one. So I'm actually gonna take this one, I'm gonna copy it, and and I'm gonna add here the placeholders for the different visuals. So as you can see, here's a placeholder for the table, and now here's another placeholder as well for the line chart. And let's make sure that our visuals have some space between them, and there's some space here as well at the bottom. Okay, so this looks good actually for now. We could adjust it later because you don't always get it right from the first time. As we said, it's a bit of an iterative process. Okay, so I think this looks pretty good, and we could also create a placeholder here at the top for this KPI card. All right, and actually, as we said, we're gonna make the KPI cards, we're gonna move them a bit downwards. All right, so we're gonna make them here, and this one I'm gonna create one as well for the menu button. Okay, so I'm gonna create one for the menu button here, or maybe just increase its size a bit. We can always adjust it later, as I said. All right, and let's create one as well for this, and let's create one as well for this back button as well here. Okay, so this looks good for now. I'm gonna delete the picture, so you can see here under the selection pane here, here's the picture, which is basically, this is our dashboard screenshot, right? This is the screenshot for our dashboard. I'm just gonna delete it because we don't need it anymore, and I'm gonna save this slide as a picture. Actually, Control-Shift-S on my keyboard. And I can make this a JPEG. So this will be the coffee sales dashboard background, stores drill through. This is the stores drill through page. All right. And I'll just save this slide here. And let's go back to our dashboard. And let's go here, let's select anywhere in the canvas, go to format, canvas background, and this will be this stores drill through. And as you can see here, now it's gonna start to appear. All right, and we can just adjust these visuals to the placeholders. Okay, so this table as well. So size and style, let's remove the background from the table. And as you can see here, it's starting to form up. All right, and this one as well. Starting to form up. And as you can see here, here is the back button. Here's the menu button as well. Maybe we could increase the size a bit for the menu button thing. We could increase it, maybe also displace it a bit to the bottom. And here are the KPI cards for the East Coast and for 2021. So now, as you can see here, we have the placeholders for everything. So I'm just adjusting things here. And we could force them to be the same size. So this 60 to 272, this one is going to be 60 272 as well. All right. And we could always as well, I think we could make some adjustments here. We could move everything a bit downwards here. And we could even just reduce the size of this shape here. And all right, yeah, so let's reduce the size of this shape here. Let's actually move everything a bit down as well. And next, make sure everything is aligned. So as I told you, sometimes you need to make some adjustments here. And there, it's a bit of an iterative process. So Control Shift S on our keyboard again to save it. And then it's a JPEG, and yes, and then just this one, and let's do it again here. Canvas background. All right, and I'm just adjusting here this button. So this button actually might need adjustment, the placeholder for it, but I think the KPI cards are okay for now. Okay, so I think the KPI cards are okay for now, and we just need to adjust this, the background for the button here. So maybe we could reduce its size a bit, because it's a bit larger than the button. Maybe if the button is 64 by 64, maybe make this 65 by 65. So let's make the size here 65. I think this is 65 pixels by 65 pixels. All right, so I'm just typing 65px by 65px, and this actually Windows Control Shift S again to save, and again a JPEG. All right, and let's do that again here. Okay, and I think now it looks much better. All right, now let's adjust the bookmarks for the menu. So if I open the menu here, you'll see that the bookmark for opening the menu still shows the back arrow here. And because I moved these KPI cards a bit downwards to the bottom, I offset them a bit down. So what happens here is that they get hidden behind the menu, which is a good thing. However, I just need to make this arrow disappear when the menu appears. So I'm gonna go to bookmarks here, and I'm gonna open as well the selection pane. And for the back arrow, I think it's this button here, so I need to name it back button. All right, and I'm gonna hide it, and I'm going to update the slicers panel on bookmark here. So I'm gonna update it. So now if I close, you can see here the arrow appears. If I open the menu, the arrow disappears, which basically complements here my bookmark for the menu being on. And I can also, currently I have a filter for 2021, for example, as the year, and East Coast as the region. You can see here now if I clear all filters, all the filters will be removed. And actually, when I cleared all the filters as well, this arrow appeared again. So let's go back and adjust that as well on the clear all filters. The clear all filters bookmark here. So I'm gonna also make the back button disappear, and I'm gonna update the bookmark as well for the clear all filters. So now if I do clear all filters, it disappears. If I go to close here, menu, open, you can see here the arrow still is disappearing. Let's go back to the overview. Let's do another drill through here just to check on everything, and let's drill through. All right, so now we're now drilling through to the stores. Let's close the menu. Let's open it. Let's use the clear all filters button. Everything is working properly, as you can see here. All right, now let's adjust the label here that we have on the line chart at the bottom. So I'm gonna select the line chart here, and I'm gonna go to the label, or the title actually here. And let's just make sure it says net sales and margin, or just sales and margin, net sales and margin percentage. That's it. All right, so we're gonna make it a simple label here. All right, and now as you can see here, we managed to adjust it. We currently have actually multiple years appearing, but if we have a single year, you will see here that the x-axis will appear better. So if we just filter for 2021, it's going to look much better, for example, here. And now as you can see here, our dashboard is starting to form up. And next we'll just add the logo here. All right, so now we're going to add the logo here. So I'm going to insert a new image, and this will be my logo here. So I'm gonna insert it, and now we've inserted our logo here, as you can see. So it looks good, and this actually concludes building our dashboard step by step. You can see here the menus are working, and actually there's one more step here. We need to make the logo disappear when we open the menu, because as you can see here, it's interfering with the menu. So I'm gonna go here to my bookmarks, and for the slicers panel on, let's actually view the selection pane here. And here is our logo. This is our logo here. So I'm just gonna rename it to logo. I'm gonna hide this visual. So I'm gonna hide the logo, and then I'm gonna update the slicers panel on, update it, and now if we close, the logo appears. If we open the menu, the logo disappears. As you can see here, all good. And this concludes building our dashboard. You can see here we managed to build our dashboard here successfully. Of course, everything built on this dashboard is just ideas. It's just to give you ideas. The data is not real data. The data is completely 100% fake data. So you might want to build it in a different way. I'm just giving you ideas, and you can definitely do something else or build something else for your company. So this is just to give you some ideas. All right, so now comes the time for our competition. So our competition, it will be for creating a page or a tab to analyze the products. So you'll do a product analysis for the different products that we have, which products are the top selling products, etc. And there will be prizes for the top 3 dashboards created. So the top winner will be getting free access to my Power BI dashboards course, and then the second and third winners will be getting discounts for the course, really big discounts for the course. And what you need to do is to create that tab for the products, or create that page for the products, and post about it in LinkedIn. So post your creation on LinkedIn, a screenshot of the dashboard, and also make sure to mention what insights you've drawn from the data, and also make sure to mention myself, Abdurrahman Abdu, and Excel Bonanza, as well as a company on the post. And I'll be checking all the posts for the contestants, and I will be choosing the top 3 and awarding them the prizes. So this will be our competition. All right, guys, so this concludes our video today. And as I told you, if you need to get the full finished dashboard that we built here, then make sure to enroll in my Power BI dashboards course, and you'll also learn Power BI dashboards step by step through a structured course. So if you would like to join the course, you can join it now at the lowest price, because the course at this point, at the time of filming this video, is not finished. So it's being I'm adding videos gradually, step by step, but the price for the course is also increasing gradually, step by step. So make sure to check it out and enroll at the lowest price possible. All right, guys, so this concludes our video today. So if you found the video helpful, please make sure to like and share the video, and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified with all future videos. And please make sure to follow us on social media. You'll find the links down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.